Text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, JMV, for the best in realty, Mark Dietel at Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com, markdietel.com. Today, the only realtor I would get involved with, for example, if I was selling off my property and looking for something new, he's got guarantees of which I'll get to in just a second. But I'll give you a great example of the greatness of Mark Dietel. Paul and Marcy here in Indy got married, excited to begin their new life together, but had an extra condo needed to sell. Mark knows how to get it done. Brilliantly did it just for Paul and Marcy, just like he will do for you. Guarantees an offer in 3 days for full market value, or he's going to list it for free. He's the best. It's Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com. That's markdietel.com today.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm your friend's lucky jersey that's never been washed, and I'm stanking up the back seat, overpowering all of your senses, so you don't see the brake lights up ahead. And if you have cut rate car insurance, you're going to be all out of luck. So switch to Allstate, save $744, and get protected from mayhem like me.
Average annual savings of new customers surveyed in 2021 who reported auto savings when switching to Allstate. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. Another reason to go to Hellsberg? Get a free Microsoft Surface Laptop Go with a purchase of $1,699 or more. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you today. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in store for details.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Here's a snap. Kick is on its way. Has plenty of distance. It's up, and it is good. Chase McLaughlin from 52 on the game's first drive for the Colts. Second down and 9. Matt Ryan taking a shot to the end zone, looking for Ashton Dillon. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! Here's the snap. Kick is on its way. It's a line drive knuckleballer, but it goes through, and it is good. Shotgun snap, looking right now. He checks it down left side, looking for the end zone for Alec Pierce, and he's got it. Touchdown! Alec Pierce, and he spikes into the end zone.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
All right, we decided to go uber positive, I guess, there to start this Monday morning. Kevin Bowen, Jake Query, Sam Fritz, and for Mark Dykton here to start off this Monday. Jake, I'm curious, as you scramble for the headset for the umpteenth day in a row, any luck?
I mean, you would think that they would still be sitting here. I kind of took that for granted, I guess. I'll get some. I've got some in my bag, I think. I mean, that actually, if you were to listen to this program and hear that you have your headsets, and I realize I did not, that actually kind of representative of last night's game. One team deciding to show up, be ready, have their ducks in a row. Although the Colts did kind of show up for a while there, though, right?
I was going to say, we are going to have a chunk of the audience this morning wake up and be like, wait, what? That was the final score?
And it probably could have been worse, right?
Well, I mean, they scored 33 in the fourth quarter. I mean, how many more could they have scored?
I know, but like...
I mean, Maddie rolled over to me last night and said something effective like, what was the final score? I'm like, this is going to sound crazy, 54-19. She's like, what? Like, the last she saw, it was like 21-19. And literally early in the fourth quarter last night, that was the score. 4 straight turnovers from there. One of the most embarrassing, pathetic, awful, insert your adjective here, fourth quarters in NFL history. And it is time to bench Matt Ryan.
It's time to do a lot of things, Kevin. Late in the game, I say late, I think it was before Dallas had scored their final touchdown. But late in the game, they did a 2-shot on NBC. And they were talking about Jim Irsay. They were talking about the Colts brass. And Jim Irsay was sitting very stoically, almost laid back in his seat. Did you see this moment?
I did, yep. Him and Ballard in the 2-shot.
What was Chris Ballard doing?
Looked like he was like putting his coat on. Probably heading down, knowing it was over.
You had one guy in Jim Irsay that had the look of, I'm not going anywhere. I'm in this big chair, this throne. I'm not going anywhere. And you had another guy that looked very uncomfortable and was looking for an exit. And I thought that was a real symbolic side-by-side image of where the Indianapolis Colts are right now. An owner that's like, hey, my club, I'm going nowhere, obviously, and a general manager that's looking for the exit. And in terms of the team itself, I said it last week, and I'll say it again. A head coach that probably wants to win games, a quarterback that is there because his head coach wants to win games and thinks that's the best chance to win games is to put that quarterback in, but a quarterback who apparently told Chris Collinsworth before the game when Collinsworth said, how are things going? And he said, did you hear Collinsworth mention all that? I'm like, that's interesting. Usually a quarterback's like, oh, man, we
Well, he's not wrong.
Of course. Let me throw this one at you, Kevin. I thought about this last night, and we can go over the nuances of the game, and they didn't play well in this gap or that area. We can do all that. But in totality, in a big picture, let me ask you this. Is it possible, because I was watching it and I was thinking about this with Jeff Saturday as the coach of the Colts, and the Colts just going up in flames. Is it possible that Jim Irsay, who took a lot of grief for going out and making Jeff Saturday his interim head coach in a move that seemingly no one else knew about, including Jeff Saturday, who was hunting with his kids when the phone rang, is it possible that Jim Irsay said, you know what, I've got two choices here. I've got to make a coaching change with Frank Reich. I've got to blow this thing up. But if I bring in somebody or elevate somebody from inside the building or whatever it may be, then there's going to be pressure and expectation to hire that person long term if, in fact, we win or things start to turn around. But I already have my guy. I know who my next head coach is, so I'm going to bring in an interim that is going to alleviate any pressure from the outside of making that be the person that is going to be the long-term hire. So it's Jeff Saturday to just kind of help me survey the damage, and then I'm going to make a splash hire at the end of the season that's one that I have already made my mind up, and all chips are in on that person.
Yeah, I mean, that would be quite the commitment from that person.
Well, if you were going to get it from somebody, wouldn't it be a guy who's a consultant, loyal to the building, et cetera, et cetera?
Right, I mean, quite the commitment from whoever your next coach is going to be to, in mid-November or early November.
Well, I'm not saying that person's accepted the job, but if there's somebody that, you know what I mean?
I just go back to last night, Jake, and think to myself, they did get off to a great start. I thought there was a chance they get run out of the building.
They did?
They did eventually, but they certainly did not early on. It was arguably their best first quarter of the season. Like I said, a very competitive game throughout the third quarter. I thought not challenging the Isaiah Rodgers interception was a critical moment in that game. You're a team that just needs to look at those chances, and I didn't think a timeout necessarily was something that you desperately needed at that point. I thought it was worth taking a look at, and then obviously just a turnover filled. And I remember this as a child, and so warning to all parents out there: if your kids wake up today and say, "Hey, I'd love to go back and watch the game. Can I go back and watch?" Don't let your kids watch the fourth quarter. Because it's one of the most embarrassing aspects of football that you'll ever see. And in more ways than one, Matt Ryan just looks old. He looks old. He throws it old. He processes it old, and that might be the scariest part of it all. When Phillip Rivers was here, Jake, like Phillip Rivers had some cannon for an arm, but what Phillip Rivers was elite at, or what he had, high level in, was the ability to process and throw with an anticipation and make up for a lack of arm strength. Matt Ryan doesn't do that. You are praying and hoping the ball travels enough in the air to get to whoever his pass catchers are. And last night, he was picked off several times and could have been picked off probably at least 3 or 4. And ever since that shoulder injury, I just feel like I've noticed it more, to where he is just absolutely just done.
This is the problem, Kevin, and I've said this 100 times over. The problem for the Colts is, what is the vision? What's the vision? They have a quarterback that you knew when you got him you were going to get at most 2 years out of, and Father Time decided to accelerate that, or shrink that time, if you will, to put it in those terms. And so now, if you are the Colts, the good news for last night, here is the best news about last night. As I was watching that, you know what I was thinking to myself? As I was watching that, I was thinking to myself, they're going to win this game when on a day when other teams started to slide back a little bit. When you look at the draft order for the upcoming draft, the Colts are going to screw around and win this game and refuse to get in the left lane in the draft process. So the good news is they're putting themselves now in position to move up in the draft.
Moved up 5 spots yesterday.
That's what they have to do, because they have to get a quarterback. And I don't mean Mitchell Trubisky, and I don't mean Jimmy Garoppolo, who got hurt. I don't mean, they need to get a quarterback right now for the future that they can build around for 2 to 5 years. They don't have it, and that's going to set their timetable back. And now all of a sudden, the Chris Ballard, greatest hire of the 20th century, goes now into like decade number 2 before we actually have a measurable piece of evidence as to what the team can be, because just then you got a quarterback that's growing into himself. They're
54-19, outscored 33-0 in the fourth quarter. Malik Hooker, revenge game to say the least. I thought that was a really critical juncture end of the first half when Hooker had the interception. Dallas was able to then cash that in for a touchdown. I thought that was a big moment there where the Colts potentially could have the lead at halftime and then got the ball to start the third quarter, and they throw a pick there late, and then Dallas is able to punch that in. And even then, you were still playing from behind. I think it was an 8-point game, and I just never felt like the Colts were truly like, oh, okay, they're going to win this game. Now, they scored a touchdown. They had a 2-point conversion, a chance to tie it. They did not do that. And then, like I said, I thought everything changed really once that Isaiah Rodgers potential interception was called incomplete. No challenge there. And I believe Dallas ended the game from there on some, like, probably 33-0 run, honestly.
Malik Hooker had to wake up this morning, or he probably hasn't yet, but when he wakes up this morning, he's got to think, well, that felt pretty good, right? I don't know that there was like bad blood by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I'm not going to sit here and act like Ballard should have kept him by any means.
Right.
But no, good for him. Hooker he's a good dude. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning to you. Kevin Bone, Jake Query again, Sam Fritz in for Mark Dykton. Joe Reitz is going to join us here pretty early in the show, coming up at 7:30. Unlike last Monday, Jake, this is kind of a bit of a dud of a Monday from a sports standpoint here. Locally, I guess, unless you're a Purdue basketball fan. The Pacers are leaking major oil out west right now.
They are.
Which sounds like a political thing. But they are struggling mightily on their western road trip. No Tyrese Halliburton tonight. He missed last night in Portland. He will not play tonight in Golden State. I almost thought to myself last night when I saw no Halliburton, no McConnell, is Lance Stevenson around?
Where is Lance?
Or can they clone Andrew Nembhard? Because they were scrambling last night for some point guard help. It's never good when a basketball team scores less than a football team, and I guess that's what IU basketball did, if you base that off of the Cowboy score from last night. Indiana loses at Rutgers on Saturday. Purdue moves to 1-0 in the Big Ten. Zach Edey dominant yesterday.
31
with
and 22.
Minnesota.
He had 22 boards and 31 points.
And I think it's not like he played 42 minutes. Dominant by Edey. And I thought Purdue hung in there nicely on Saturday, Jake. Selfishly, I would have liked for a little bit more aggression out of Jeff Brohm when they were moving the football as well as they did. Think to yourself, hey, at some point, touchdowns have got to be the answer, not field goal attempts. But they played well for half and, again, hung in there, but could never really punch it in and get that score that you're like, all right, here's some game pressure on Michigan the rest of the way.
Listen, the weekend, well, first off, let's begin with this. Other than the Colts game, how was your weekend?
It wasn't bad. I was fighting the old voice on Friday, and so I've been recovering from that, but I feel like I'm 98%. So good on that front. And you were Milwaukee bound?
Yeah, first off, did you go, and I'm sorry if you mentioned this, did you go to the Big Ten Championship?
No, I decided to bail. I wondered, wasn't 100%. I'm
just how the atmosphere was and stuff like that.
I had heard a large chunk Michigan.
I thought Purdue represented themselves well. Listen, I know that they don't give out participation trophies and red ribbons and that kind of thing, but I thought they played fine. They hung around. I think that's what Purdue wanted to do, to be honest. Sure, you'd love to win that game, and I know that it's probably simple for me to just say, well, they look good, and that's that. But a lot going against them. I thought they played fine. I thought it was actually a pretty cool game, fun to watch. Now that they have realigned the divisions or will realign the divisions, it'd be interesting to see if and when Purdue has the chance to get back to that moment. Indiana's already losing players to the transfer portal, which is going to be a mass exodus, I think, and they might win 2 games next year, so that's cool. The college football playoff, the one problem I have, Kevin, with this, and I know we're going to talk a lot of Colts this morning, but it has nothing to do with Ohio State getting in, who I think is one of the 4 best. And so in that regard, I get why they are in. But I do think that it seems unfair that you would be penalized for what happens in an extra week when not every team qualified to play that extra week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again,
it should be extra credit.
As a Notre Dame fan, it's kind of pot kettle black for me in saying that, but I couldn't agree more. And in a game where, Caleb Williams gets hurt in the first quarter and has to play through that, Ohio State can sit at home. And, in kind of a weird twist, if I'm not mistaken, the Pac-12 doesn't have any divisions. So if the Big Ten followed that suit, you'd have Michigan playing Ohio State for the Big Ten title.
Right.
So then we would see Ohio State in that 13th game. So it's kind of an odd twist in how all of that unfolds. But yeah, it'll be Georgia, Ohio State in Atlanta on New Year's Eve, and then it'll be Michigan and TCU out in Phoenix.
If Ohio State beats Georgia, which I think is possible, Michigan's going to strongly regret going out and planting their flag in the middle of Ohio Stadium because they're going to play Ohio State and Michigan would play for the national title, and Ohio State would blow them off the field. That would not be – Ohio State would win by 17 to 21 points.
You have been all aboard the Ohio State bandwagon this year.
Yes, and I can't stand Ohio State, but they are the best team in college football. I mean, Georgia is really good. Don't get me wrong.
They're better than Michigan? I mean, Michigan beat them by 3 scores of their own building.
I get it. Let me, and I know that's ridiculous. And listen, I hate them, right? So who am I? But when they are clicking, when they're off, and C.J. Stroud is,
I just haven't seen the clicking this year.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I get it. When they want to turn up the wick, they can. They have potential. Let's put it that way. They should be the best team in the country. I mean, that's the thing about them. If you're an Ohio State fan, that's got to be really frustrating. They should be the best team in the country. But it'll be fun to watch, though. I saw Notre Dame is going to the they call it the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, right? But it's the Tiger Slayer Gator Bowl because Clemson lost 2 games, and it's South Carolina and Notre Dame who are playing each other in the Gator Bowl.
South Carolina's kind of hot, right?
Yeah, they certainly...
They beat Tennessee the week before that with Hendon Hooker in there for a while.
Nobody here cares, I realize, but I'm going to say it anyway. It is disappointing because if Clemson had beaten South Carolina, they're in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Clemson would have gotten in above Ohio State, would they not, if they were...
I would think so, but I don't know. I feel like there's this affinity for Ohio State.
I get it. But back to last night, Kevin, what would you say...
Purdue LSU, by the way, in the Citrus Bowl.
That's a big one, right?
Yeah, and that'll be January 2nd. We talked about this a little bit late last week. Again, January 1st falls on a Sunday this year, so we'll kind of postpone the normal New Year's Day bowl games to Monday, January 2nd.
If you had to pinpoint beyond, or maybe there is no beyond, the quarterback play, what is the main, the biggest area of concern for you, it would be what for the Colts last night?
Quarterback is the root of it. It is so much of the root of it. Sure, your offensive line broke down in protection at times, but to me, I just think there is zero need whatsoever to see Matt Ryan take another snap for the Colts.
Ever again, right?
Ever. And I'm talking, Jake, malpractice in the short term, long term, however you want to slice it. I could not believe that Jeff Saturday continued to roll him out there in the fourth quarter.
What about going to the victory formation?
Drive after drive. Sure. Again, put Dallas Flowers at quarterback, for all I care.
But they did the victory formation to run the clock out, right?
Did they really, the Colts?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at the end of the game.
And I'll go back to something I said earlier. It just, physically and mentally, he looks old. And it's the latter part that I would think is extremely worrisome, in that the misidentification of free rushers, the inability to take advantage of those free rushers, and then physically, just the arm is shot. I tweeted out last night, his fastball 78 miles per hour. That might have been generous by me.
Let me read you a
People were saying he looks like Jamie Moyer.
Okay, let me read you a tweet from last night. Bernard Ryman's going to be a beast. Michael Pittman Jr. showed he can be a WR1, and his quarterback gets him when his quarterback gets him the ball. Kwity Paye was the consensus first defensive end of his class, and our franchise quarterback quit when the rest of the team was Super Bowl ready. So we've been too bad. To draft a quarterback.
I do have to interrupt. I think Micah Parsons was the same draft class as Kwity Paye, but nonetheless, continue.
Somebody sent me that. Listen, the luck excuse that is no longer sour milk. That is now like cottage cheese. It's so spoiled, right? Number one. Number two, I tweeted this out last night, Kevin. Okay. The Colts have a 7th-round offensive lineman, a 4th-round tight end, and an undrafted wide receiver, who last night all were credited with a solo tackle. They have a 2nd-round defensive tackle who did not. That pretty much tells you everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe the only hit they got on Dak Prescott all night was the sack from Kwity Paye there in the first half. So, again, for those that are just waking up, it's probably a bit of shock and awe in seeing that final score.
That's a great song by Oasis, Shock and Awe.
I think that was
actually, it's called Shock and the Lightning, I think. Great song.
I believe that was an Irsay tweet at one point. He threw that out there. 21-19, late third quarter, Alec Pierce touchdown, 2-point conversion, no good. And from there, the Cowboys score 33 unanswered. I think it was 4 straight drives with turnovers. Matt Ryan had a couple picks. Mo Alley Cox had a fumble. And then Ryan had a fumble as well. We can get more into this, obviously, all morning long. 317-239-1070. We'll take your calls. Again, my biggest takeaway from last night, and, from a long-term view, I didn't need to see Matt Ryan anymore starting in, early November. But last night was just confirmation that in the short term, he is holding you back in a major, major way. If you want to get a better evaluation of your roster, why not see what Nick Foles looks like? If you want to look one eye towards the future, why not go with Sam Ehlinger?
But what would you learn from Nick Foles that you're not going to learn from Matt Ryan?
Maybe he helps you better evaluate what you have on your roster.
Okay. Maybe he can...
And the biggest reason, Jake, is the financial component. And when Ryan got hit late in the game, and I thought he was hurt there for a second, he's due in bonuses about $17 million for next season if he were to get hurt to end this year. That would be absolute malpractice to play him at 4-8-1 and potentially cost your franchise $17 million because you want your interim head coach to play the 37-year-old 15-year veteran.
I just thought Matt Ryan looked like a guy late in that game that was like, what am I doing here? Right? Like
so old.
Matt Ryan looked like the mall Santa who a kid just wetted his leg.
He's
like,
so jittery. It's just so jittery back there. All right, Joe Wright's going to join us here in a few minutes. Kevin and Query on a Monday.
School is in session.
Seth Greenberg, where does Indiana's roster fit among the best in the country, or does it?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. You know what? Because Trace Jackson-Davis is a matchup nightmare at the elbow on the baseline, on the glass. I think they got some shot makers. I like their team. They've got maturity. They got a little bit of toughness. They're guarding people. I've been really impressed with them.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Guys, solve your ED today with an intimacy guarantee only at the Indianapolis Men's Clinic. If you don't perform, you don't pay. Call the Indianapolis Men's Clinic at 999-9000. 999-9000.
A place for players to play and so much more. Pick up USA Fitness Noblesville, a better way to play. PickUpUSAFitness.com.
Football fans can turn a loss into a win with the king of sportsbooks. Just place a single first touchdown score prop bet on any Monday or Thursday pro football game. If your bet loses, you'll receive up to $25 back in free bets. This offer is available all season long. Wager confidently and take your game to the next level with BetMGM. Just log into your account or download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Turn game time into showtime with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Indiana only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After redshirting his first year at Ohio State, Joe Burrow spent the next 2 years as J.T. Barrett's backup. With Dwayne Haskins on the roster, Burrow didn't see much playing time and decided to transfer. LSU head coach Ed Orgeron zeroed in on Burrow and landed him. In his second season at LSU, Burrow led the Tigers to a 15-0 record, a national championship, and arguably the best season ever by a college quarterback.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
You know that feeling when your football team adds that one player with every skill they've been looking for? It's time your business knew how it felt too. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 850 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to the most qualified candidates so you can start hiring the right people. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Certainly not many positives from last night. One of the few. I think the Colts checked out pretty well in the health department. But for any of us that are dealing with our own joint pain issues, we can get some help via QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving lasting relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics started with one clinic last year, but the demand has been so strong. They now have clinics in Eagle Creek and Greenwood, and more are on the way. So many people are living their best life again, pain-free, thanks to QC Kinetics. If you got pain in your knees, hips, back, shoulder, don't let them tell you that steroids or surgery are your only options. Give QC Kinetics a call, free consultation, and see if they can get you moving and living your best life again. Again, QC Kinetics, locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. That's 463-235-7160. QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Start a new career with a job that keeps your community safe. The Marion County Sheriff, Carrie Forrestal, is hiring detention deputies to work in the brand new Community Justice Center. You'll supervise and guard offenders, making Marion County a better place to live. Starting pay begins at around $40,000 a year with a $5,000 signing bonus. Enjoy great benefits like complete health coverage and pension plan. Start your career as a detention deputy and earn the respect of your community. Apply today at joinmcso.indy.gov.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Jane doesn't mind an apartment with no elevator.
5 flights of stairs is 5 plates of cardio.
Bob is a little less enthusiastic about stairs.
I hate stairs.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle renters and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Jane and Bob found an apartment that's a 4-story walk-up. And Bob?
Yeah, there's a freight elevator she doesn't know about.
What were you talking about?
Oh, nothing.
Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Ball State Basketball. Get your tickets at ballstatesports.com on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Simply put, Kevin, 33-0. That's basically all you need to know. If you went to bed last night during the Colts game just before the fourth quarter and you thought, you know what, I've got to get up early for work, so I'm going to set the alarm and then I'll DVR the fourth quarter and watch it while I eat my breakfast. 33-0. Cowboy run to close the game as the Colts now are 4-8-1.
It was Jeff Saturday afterwards on really a loss unlike any other.
I can assure you I haven't been involved in many losses in general, but definitely not like this. And I think we went 4 possessions in a row with, a fumble, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. And you're not going to beat anybody in the NFL, but you're dang sure not going to beat a good football team that way. And I think when one of them was, or maybe 2 of them were for touchdowns. So I at this point I don't even remember, but it wasn't good enough.
4 straight turnovers on 4 possessions. I don't care who you're talking about. An NFL junior college team, you go back to Jim Irsay. You ain't going to beat anybody I just talked about. He's right.
For those looking to flip over to the Pacer game last night, wasn't going to be much better. The Pacers lose in Portland. I think it was a 116-100. I don't have the final box in front of me.
That is correct.
It was another ugly performance. They've now lost by 23, 20, and 16. Each of their last 3. It's a 1-4 road trip. You still have Golden State tonight on a back-to-back and Minnesota to round things out on Wednesday. Tyrese Halliburton and TJ McConnell both were out last night. It's a groin injury for Halliburton. He will miss tonight as well. These are the first games he's missed as a Pacer.
By the way, you said at Minnesota on Wednesday, right? Then back home once the trip ends to take on Washington. Purdue yesterday, 89-70 over Minnesota. That's the one bright spot, I guess, yesterday in local sports news. Zach Edey, 31 and 22 for the Boilers. Freshman Fletcher Lawyer had 20 for Purdue.
Indiana loses to Rutgers on Saturday, 63-40. Boy, Steve Peichel owns IU.
Boy, you're not... Rutgers is just one of those places that I think a lot of teams go and it's easy to stub your toe, but the blueprint, and I think Indiana's really good. And they got a really good roster. But bottom line is the one thing that may plague them is they don't have multiple outside consistent shooters. And if teams that have lots of bigs can pack it in and limit Trace Jackson Davis, then it's going to be tough for Indiana unless multiple people have shots dropping. And Race Thompson goes scoreless, you're not going to win a lot of games.
Xavier Johnson,
struggles.
2 for 11, 6 turnovers. No Jalen Hood-Schifino. That was a huge loss for Indiana, not having another creator there. But yeah, besides Miller Kopp, IU was 1 of 16 from behind the arc. They'll have Nebraska this week. I think Purdue also plays Nebraska. They beat Creighton yesterday. That was a good win, a rare good win for Nebraska. College football playoff, it is set. It'll be number 1 Georgia against number 4 Ohio State. That will be the nightcap on New Year's Eve in Atlanta. The other semifinal is TCU and Michigan. That is out in Phoenix. From a state standpoint, you've got LSU and Purdue in the Citrus Bowl, and you've got Notre Dame and South Carolina in the Gator Bowl.
I'm telling you, Notre Dame, South Carolina would be a good game.
Notre Dame doesn't know who their quarterback is because he entered the transfer portal.
Well, is he not going to play in that game?
He will not.
Okay, that's odd.
Well,
I mean, that's where we are, though, right?
Welcome to college football.
With college football today, that's where we are. I mean, LSU, Clemson's playing Tennessee. I was talking with Jason Hammer about it last night because he's a Tennessee fan. So we made our wager, which is loser has to buy the winner the T-shirt, the bowl-winning T-shirt. And we, both of us were like, yeah, the question now is going to be who's playing. What players are playing. I mean, Clemson's quarterback they've used all year, DJ Uyunglele, announcing he's transferring. This is where we are. College football 2022. So we'll see.
Joe Reitz joins us next here. Kevin and Corey.
Join me on Monday, which is today. We're going to talk Colts. We're going to talk IU. We're going to talk to Don Fisher. We're going to talk to Greg Rakestraw. We're going to talk to Sean Salisbury. Join me today, noon to 3.
Well, it's a great honor. It's obviously not the reason I volunteer, but it's nice.
Meet Chuck Bouillou, retired registered nurse, volunteer at Meals on Wheels, and another Jiffy Lube Do More winner.
And I'm Jiffy Lube owner Jennifer Sanner. At Jiffy Lube, we are rewarding Hoosier volunteers who use their vehicle to do more to make Indiana a better place to live.
Satisfying that I know that at least that day they will get a meal, maybe even 2 meals.
Each month, Jiffy Lube of Indiana provides a volunteer free vehicle maintenance for a year, whether it's someone who delivers smiles and supplies or drives somewhere to serve on site. Jiffy Lube supports local givers who count on their car to do more for Indy, and we love to hear their stories.
You get an oil change every couple months. It's nice.
If you know a volunteer who impacts your community, nominate them today to receive a year's worth of free vehicle maintenance. Just click the Do More tab at JiffyLubeIndiana.com.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
Craftsman Days at Lowe's are going on now. Get limited time savings across the store like $100 off a V20 6-tool combo kit. Plus, enter the Craftsman Days Ultimate Garage Sweepstakes for a chance to win Craftsman products valued at over $10,000. Learn more at Lowe's.com/Ultimate Garage. Offer valid through 12/31 while supplies last. No purchase necessary. Ends 12/31. Residents of 50 USDC, 18 or older, and age of majority, and have a Lowe's.com account. Void where prohibited. See rules at Lowe's.com/Ultimate Garage for entry instructions, odd prices, etc. Sponsor Lowe's.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. 877-ASK-DELL.
Welcome to a late night edition of What If, the show where I, Jake from State Farm, answer your insurance what ifs. We've got Sean on the line. What's up?
Hey, Jake, what if I'm too stressed about my coverage to sleep? Like, what if I don't have enough? Or what if I need to change it?
Oh, if you can't sleep, just give us a ring. We're available 24/7. At State Farm, we're there for your what ifs.
Oh, great. What if I just take a little nap?
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Why is that? Well, if you ask someone with one of the latest and greatest phones from Cricket, they might tell you it's because of the amazing phones. Like the new iPhone 14 that lets you capture stunning photos in low and bright light. Plus, they'd probably tell you about the fast nationwide 5G included with all plans. They'll let you stream, text, talk, and more, all at 5G speeds. Yeah, they might mention something like that. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Hubler has it. Savings. Hubler has it. Choices.
Hubler really does have it all. All of our pre-owned vehicles are Hubler Q certified, which include a 128-point vehicle inspection, a free Carfax vehicle history report, and 2 warranties. A 2-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and a 30-day, 1,000-mile comprehensive warranty. Visit any of our 13 locations today, or click drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
For over 25 years, Quality Supply and Tool has taken a customer-first approach to supplying the construction industry with all their industrial needs. Big corporations, on the other hand, think differently. Here's Ryan Ling to explain.
In my career, I've worked for the larger corporations. I've been on the other side. But the owner of Quality Supply and Tool gives us the freedom to take care of the customer no matter what. We stock only industrial-grade tools, and our full service and warranty department truly sets us apart.
With locations in Jeffersonville, Bloomington, and South Harding Street in Indy, Quality Supply and Tool thinks outside the box. Store.
Introducing Spectrum One. Get Spectrum Internet with speeds of 300 megabits per second, advanced Wi-Fi with best-in-class security and privacy, Spectrum Mobile with unlimited talk, text, and data plus nationwide 5G. Get it all with Spectrum One. Spectrum Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and 1 line of Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for only $49.99 a month. Visit Spectrum.com or a Spectrum store today. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Indiana Physical Therapy is your trusted choice in Central Indiana. For over 30 years, we've treated all walks of life, from peewees to professionals and Olympians, and everyone in between. Schedule at any of our 21 convenient locations, even without a doctor's order. Indiana Physical Therapy is cost-effective, accepting all insurance plans and networks. We're open from 7 to 7 and can get you in the same day you call. Go to indianapt.com.
Indiana Physical Therapy, where people go to get better.
Here's an unexpected holiday surprise for all the last-minute shoppers. This weekend, all of Diamonds Direct's earrings are 25% off. That's right, all earrings. An incredible 25% off. Diamond studs, diamond hoops, colored gemstone earrings, designer earrings, all earrings included. Who wouldn't love a beautiful pair of diamond stud earrings for Christmas? Make it happen this weekend and save an unprecedented 25%. Best prices of 2022. Special financing available too. Friday through Sunday only, and only at Diamonds Direct.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Jake, I think our time management here is reminiscent of maybe how the Colts played the fourth quarter last night. Told Joe Reitz 7:30. Here we are at 7:40, and we're finally getting to him.
Well, the difference being between us and the Colts is that we started this show this morning a little slow, right? A little groggy, a little slow.
Hey, the Colts started well last time.
We are on our way to a strong finish. Opposite for the Colts. Started out pretty strong. By the end, complete suckfest, right?
Touche. Okay. I can get behind that. Joe Reitz is with us here on this Monday morning. Joe, apologies on a little bit of a delayed start with you.
Fellas, all good. Believe me, I know we've all lived that Sunday night football world at different levels. I was just thinking, driving in this morning, man, you get home from those games at like 4 a.m. and sometimes still hard to unwind and get to bed at 5 or 6. And then especially after a loss like that, it's just a tough spot to be in. But I agree, Jake, with what you shared. I mean, the Colts started well. I mean, that touchdown drive they had there in the third quarter, I thought you could say might have been their best drive of the season. You get Dallas, you get them in a 3rd and 10 situation, after the pick and Isaiah Rodgers. I know we'll get into that, but which was a game-changing play call. But still, you had them in 3rd and 10, CeeDee Lamb underneath. You make the tackle, they're kicking a field goal. They're up 5 in the fourth quarter. You're getting the ball back with a lot of momentum, but we don't tackle CeeDee Lamb. And boy, he had an impressive game for having less than 100 total yards. I thought he clearly impacted the game in a huge way. And then we have the fumble with Mo Alley. And, I mean, to say the wheels came off in the fourth quarter would be an understatement.
Joe, I'm going to put this in a really weird terms here, but earlier this year, Kevin and I, I'm a Clemson fan. He's a Notre Dame fan. Those two were getting ready to play each other, and I'm like, I just had this weird feeling about it. And in the very outset of that game, Notre Dame got a blocked punt touchdown, And I turned around to the person I was watching with and said, this has all the makings of one of those games where, like, the roof just caves in and there's nothing you can do. Like, nothing goes your way. Do you believe in that? As a guy who has played in the trenches of the NFL, are there games where all of a sudden, once one or two bounces go against you, where just seemingly all of the energy is sucked out of a team and there's really nothing you can do about it? Or is that lame 50-year-old gray-haired on-the-couch guy speak?
I think there's some truth to that. And clearly, football is a momentum sport. Football is a momentum sport unlike any other sport because of just the value of the football and turnovers. You know, basketball is a game of runs. Somebody goes on an 8-0 run, you go on a 10-2 run. That just kind of bounces back and forth. But football is different. And I think the Colts are a team with not a large margin for error. And so when things start to go wrong like they did in the fourth quarter, they just piled up in a big way. And you know what I really felt watching that game in the fourth quarter with the defense? I mean, our defense has played really well, you know, pretty much all year. And I think there's a lot of games that the defense played winning football, i.e. they played well enough to win and kind of pulled their share. But I feel like, you know, the offense has continued to turn the ball over. We're now minus 14. So turnover differential in the season, the Colts and the Saints are minus 14. The next worst team, so to speak, is minus 7, which shows you kind of how bad of a spot we're in as a team. And I feel like in the fourth quarter, the defense was just, you know, I don't want to say it was consciously, but maybe subconsciously, like, man, the offense just keeps kind of screwing us and put us in these bad spots. And I felt like that really unraveled there quickly. But you looked at the score, 54-19. I mean, we won time of possession. We weren't that far off in all these stat categories, but 5 turnovers to 1, and they had
partially because Dallas would score with CeeDee Lamb every 18 seconds, right?
Yeah, well, and it just, again, even right before the half, I mean, it's 14-13. You have the ball. I'm thinking worst case.
I thought that was a brutal end of the half.
Yeah, we're down by 1, and we're getting the ball back. Man, we're in a great spot. And then the tip, the interception, the touchdown, it's 21-13, and I'm like, all right, here it goes. But then we rallied in the second half. I mean, we have that bad penalty, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. We're starting on our own 9, but we punt it. They got 1st and 10 on the 50. We hold them. The defense holds them. We get the ball back on that drive. It was a game that I really thought we were game for, and I feel like the Colts played that way through the first 3 quarters. They were primed for an upset. They came out, they were fired up. But again, that's the difference with this Colts team. When one thing goes bad, when the momentum starts to shift, it really got bad in a hurry. And obviously it's just, you know, super disappointing on a lot of levels to have a fourth quarter like that and to put that on film and tape, you know, in Sunday Night Football.
Again, the great Joe Reitz is with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. And I would say one of the definite positives of the Jeff Saturday era, if you want to call it that, is the Colts do or have gotten off to good starts under him. And like you said, they did that last night. Third quarter, Joe, 21-19. Isaiah Rodgers makes a play on the ball, looks very close to an interception. He was pretty adamant after the game that he did pick that ball off. Jeff Saturday elected not to challenge it late in the third quarter. I had issue with that. I felt like at that point of the game, you needed to not only halt a Dallas drive, but potentially create an opportunity for yourself there. And I thought it was worth the risk. Late third quarter to make that challenge. Obviously, what unfolded afterwards speaks for itself. But what do you think of that sequence?
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. Now, watching it on TV in the replays, I thought that it hit the ground. I think that whatever play that was called on the field was going to stand. But to your point, even if you think that and there's a 20% chance or less or 10% less, you know, in my opinion, it's probably worth the risk at that point just because they're driving and you got the chance to get that game-changing play. But, again, there's a lot that goes into that replay in terms of who's watching it, who's making the call. And I see it from the player perspective. We always think we made the play, right? And coaches are like, well, you guys are always going to come over and tell me that this happened. It didn't necessarily do it. But I would agree with you that, you know, had I been Saturday there, I would have thrown the red challenge flag just for the fact that even if it is a lower percentage chance, just the huge momentum shift of that. Obviously, the next play, Lamb scores the game, and that started the train really coming off the tracks.
Joe, when this team gets back from their bye week, do you think Matt Ryan should still be the starter?
It's a tough one. I know Saturday said that after the game, but, you know, he also kind of put an asterisk on it. You know, it's 5 minutes after the game. In my opinion, it'll be interesting to see what happens after the bye week, not just for him, but just for other guys too, because, you know, there's 4 weeks left in the season. Do you make changes? What changes do you do? Usually on a bye week, what the players will usually get out of the building, especially this late in the season, and have some good time off. But coaches stay in and they self-scout. So they're watching really the whole season. What have we done well? What haven't we done? I think the Colts are in a unique position because I don't know if they're technically mathematically eliminated yet from the playoffs. I know you guys could tell me that better, but you're definitely getting in that range now. And do they start to look at some other guys? Do they play some younger guys? And obviously quarterback, the most important position on the field. Do they go back to Sam Ehlinger? Nick Foles, who hasn't got a shot yet, but clearly, Matt Ryan here, just hasn't been what everybody thought it would be when he started and the season did, myself included. It's just been disappointing and just feel bad kind of for all parties involved because the story of this season is completely different than what I would have thought in July. And I know I came on your show and said, hey, the Colts are going to win the division. This is the year. We got the team around him. Matt Ryan's come in and stabilize that quarterback position. And obviously it hasn't been that way. And the turnovers is just inexcusable and really unacceptable when you're turning the ball over at that high a rate.
My concern, Joe, and I want you to talk me off this ledge, or you can say, Jake, I can't talk you off that ledge because I agree, okay?
Jake, I don't want you on a ledge in any capacity.
Yeah, I know, gosh.
Put that right there.
Thank you, Joe.
I'd be unemployed pretty quickly.
My concern is this, and that is that you have three people in terms of the pillars. Obviously, Jim Irsay, it all stops there, right? He is the guy that's going to make final decisions. But Jim Irsay, Chris Ballard, Jeff Saturday. I've mentioned this before. I've said it to Kevin. My concern is that at no fault of anybody's, you may have three people who have three different visions of what the direction should be from here going forward. If I'm Jeff Saturday, I want to win right now and show that I can coach and that people were wrong. If I'm Jim Irsay, I'm a little bit of both because I want to move forward and get a good draft pick, but I also want to prove people that my Jeff Saturday call was the right one. If I'm Chris Ballard, I'm like, you know what? I got to get a quarterback. I got to get a young quarterback. We need to move up in the draft. I just feel like there is no symmetry of vision. Your thoughts?
I definitely see your point, but I also think, the way Matt Ryan has played and turned the ball over, does he give you the best chance to win? And that's where I felt the switch to Sam Ehlinger early in the season. I'm like, let's change it up.
But Ehlinger was an inactive yesterday, a healthy scratch, right?
Right. And so, again, does Nick Foles get a shot, or is, he just going to kind of continue to be the number two? I think that it'll be interesting to me what they come out of the bye week, because it's one thing if you're playing a game and you're going the next week and the coaches have the game plan. You only get one bye week, and usually teams have not just schematically, but, personnel, and the bye week is the time to make changes, especially when your bye week's this late in the season and there's only 4 games left. And I think that's what will be interesting to see, who's starting, who's playing when the Colts take the field next Sunday against Minnesota. But it doesn't get any easier. And so you have them. The Chargers are clearly playing better in the playoff hunt, and the Giants on the road. It's not an advantageous schedule for the Colts here, the last 4 coming in. But, as a player and a fan, you just want to, in my opinion, see the team continue to fight and try to win games. But I certainly understand the fans out there, and my friends who are texting me, and they want the Colts to lose outright to improve your draft position. So that's one that's always tough for me, being on that side of player. I was part of the 2-14 season, right? So everybody's talking about this is the worst Colts win ever. Hey, I was part of that game and started on the field. We lost 62-7 down in New Orleans in 2011. For those Colts fans that remember that game on Sunday Night Football. So unfortunately, I've lived this at different levels, and again, it's just not a good spot to be in for anybody involved, with this franchise.
Hear more from Joe tonight. Colts Roundtable Live. Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi, and Joe Reitz on that right here on these airwaves. Joe, in listening to you, whether it be on those Monday night shows or when you've come on with us during the season, you've mentioned some things schematically you'd like to see, like with the run game, change up. When you talk about the offense as a whole and you look at the issues for that unit this season, besides a little bit more variety in the run game, what else do you point to that's put this unit in the basement of the NFL?
Well, I think clearly the turnovers. I think our issues with the run game. I think not having a true lead blocking fullback / tight end like we had with Jack Doyle. I think, again, we've really underestimated how good and how important he was for this Colts run game. And so some of the stuff we do schematically, if you don't have that type of blocker in there, it really hurts you. And I think the lack of mobility at the quarterback position, clearly in this day's NFL, in my opinion, you got to have a quarterback that can get out of the pocket, scramble for 6 or 8 yards, pick up a first down, and then probably the lack of the downfield passing game. We did take a couple shots and hit yesterday, but for the most part this season, we haven't really thrown the ball past the sticks or past 10 yards on a normal play. And I think you've seen defenses continue to cram our wide receivers, linebackers, play a step or two up, safeties come down closer in the box. The more people in the line of scrimmage, the harder it is to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. I think really a combination of those 4 things has hurt us offensively. And in my opinion, clearly offensively has been kind of the anchor so far with this Colts season. I think special teams has done. McLaughlin, he's been a bright spot in my opinion, even with all the changes and, Rigoberto getting hurt. Hawk hasn't been great, but I think overall special teams has been a really solid unit. Credit to Bubba Ventrone. Defensively with Gus Bradley, they're 8th in the NFL in third down. They've played well. I think they played a lot of winning football. Offense has definitely been what's held us back, and those would be the 4 reasons, kind of 30,000-foot view I would point to.
Joe, I know you had mentioned that Joe Reitz is our guest. He's on the Payless Liquors hotline, the former Colt. You were on that team, as you talked about, 62-7 on prime time. It was a different season, admittedly, because I think you knew going into that the season was kind of a punt, maybe a little bit different than this year because of the expectation coming in. But take me through what Monday feels like after a game like that, and what will be for Jeff Saturday the biggest challenge as you now get, obviously you're going into a bye, then you go to Minnesota. But what are the things where the Colts really need to refocus? What's the biggest task at hand? And psychologically speaking, what do you do to get everybody to continue to buy in, or is that a lost cause?
I think psychologically, emotionally, mentally, whatever, you got to keep the ship together, and you got to get guys to understand that, we're 4-8-1. We just, we're embarrassed in the fourth quarter on national TV. That's a sick feeling. And Monday after a loss was just an awful feeling because as a player, you knew that you were going to come in, you were going to meet, it wasn't going to be pretty. Then you were going to go watch the film, and then agonizingly, painstakingly, you go play by play, and you watch every play that I made and didn't do well that contributed to that loss. That accountability on Mondays, I didn't like it. I appreciated it because, again, there's no hiding. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. But for me and for Saturday, it's about keeping the guys together and keeping the guys united as a team and saying, let's go out and, let's give it the best shot we got for the last 4 games and play together, play as a team, and try to pick up some wins. Because certainly with only 4 games left, it's easy as a player for your eyes to start to drift to other things and next season and what's going to happen and thinking about yourself above the team. Now, I think that happens at all levels throughout the NFL because, again, guys are themselves first, and this is a business, and you hear guys say, I got to take care of me. But the best teams I always was on, you had that collegiate atmosphere, if that makes sense. In college, pre-NIL, when I played, nobody got paid. And the wins and losses, I would argue, mattered more because you weren't getting a paycheck on Monday after the game, if that makes sense. But I think that collegiate atmosphere where guys are bought in and they're playing for something bigger than themselves, those are the teams that win and go on deep runs and win championships. And so you got to kind of keep that spirit, that collegiate attitude in the locker room if you're Saturday to get this team to, win some games here once the bye happens and you got your last 4.
Joe, we'll end with this. And again, 4 games to go post-bye. I would argue one of the bigger kind of individual storylines the rest of the year is the continued development of Bernhard Raimann. If he can take strides and you look at him and say, all right, there might be something to work with here as a left tackle, that's huge for this franchise moving forward. What have you seen from him now that he's gotten some extended starting action?
He struggled, which a lot of left tackles struggle, especially rookie guys. I think he's a guy. I think he can be a pillar for this franchise in terms of a left tackle for the future. I think, 1, he has the feet. 2, I think he has the work ethic. And 3, I think he has the mental makeup. I've talked to him, met with him. I mean, he's a pretty regimented guy. He's going to work hard. He's going to do the right thing. He's a guy that I think, like Costanzo, at offensive line, we'd say, you can't get tired of doing the same thing over and over. Just doing the same thing 60, 65 times. Don't get tired of doing the right thing. I think the Ryman played better last game, and I think he'll continue to improve. It's all those different nuances. Where to put your hands, when's the ball coming out, is it a quick throw, what's this defender going to do, how's the defender's feet look, is he really going to try to pass rush me, are they going to run some sort of line stunt, tackle, end game? As he learns all those little nuances, I think he'll continue to grow. But I do think the Colts have found their left tackle with the future. I think Will Fries, too. Will Fries is another guy at right guard, and I think overall he's played pretty well for his second year, but really kind of his first year starting. So those are two younger guys that hopefully will continue to grow and be pieces of that offensive line moving forward. But, Kevin, I think you bring up a good point. 4 games left in the season. Mathematically, you're all but out of it, but do we see some other younger guys play? Do the Colts want to take a look at some guys and say, what's this guy going to be development? As, again, you're trying to win these games, but also, let's be honest, you're looking to the future, too, and trying to figure out, 2023, who's going to be on this roster moving forward.
Joe, they've got established names and big contracts within it, but in your opinion, moving forward, is there any concern about the interior of the Colts line?
I think there's concern everywhere, and I think there's definitely concern. I mean, the bottom line is, the offensive line, highest paid, league, obviously that's been well documented. They haven't played well. And again, I will say, I'm going to fight for my position group, so to speak, but in my opinion, those first 2 sacks weren't on the offensive line. Now, there was a miscommunication, but what it looked like to me that it was running back issues and not going to the right spot, but they've had those kind of throughout the year, and again, everybody has struggled. I mentioned, 2 of the younger guys that have been issues, and that right guard, left tackle has been liabilities this season. But, the bottom line is Nelson, Kelly, and Smith haven't played their best either. So it'll be interesting to me for sure, like everything, right? This will just be an interesting offseason in a lot of different ways. But that'll unfold, and I guess not going to speculate too much because there's a lot of dominoes to fall here as the season progresses and then into the offseason.
Joe, if your boys ask to watch the fourth quarter when they wake up, just tell them, hey, DVR just stopped working.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and just delete the fourth quarter after that 13:49 mark. Up until then, it was a good game and a good run. But again, it was just the wheels came off, and I know everybody in Indy's probably just got kind of that same disappointing feeling this morning as I do. So,
again, you can hear him tonight, Colts Roundtable Live. Terrific work as always. Joe Reitz, thank you, man.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
That's Joe Reitz right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. 8 o'clock hour coming up. We'll take your phone calls through on 7-239-1070. Kevin and Query here on a Monday in which the Colts lose to the Cowboys, get outscored 33-0 in the fourth quarter. 8 o'clock hour coming up.
School is in session.
Seth Greenberg, where does Indiana's roster fit among the best in the country, or does it?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. You know what? Because, look, Trace Jackson-Davis is a matchup nightmare at the elbow on the baseline, on the glass. I think they got some shot makers. I like their team. They've got maturity. They got a little bit of toughness. They're guarding people. I've been really impressed with them.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Guys, solve your ED today with an intimacy guarantee only at the Indianapolis Men's Clinic. If you don't perform, you don't pay. Call the Indianapolis Men's Clinic at 999-9000. 999-9000.
Football fans can turn a loss into a win with the king of sportsbooks. Just place a single first touchdown score prop bet on any Monday or Thursday pro football game. If your bet loses, you'll receive up to $25 back in free bets. This offer is available all season long. Wager confidently and take your game to the next level with BetMGM. Just log into your account or download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Turn game time into showtime with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Indiana only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Well, it's a great honor. It's obviously not the reason I volunteer, but it's nice.
Meet Chuck Bouillou, retired registered nurse, volunteer at Meals on Wheels, and another Jiffy Lube Do More winner.
And I'm Jiffy Lube owner Steve Sanner. At Jiffy Lube, we are proud to support Hoosier charities that use their vehicles to do more to make Indiana a better place to live.
Satisfying that I know that at least that day they will get a meal, maybe even 2 meals.
Jiffy Lube of Indiana provides all of our Do More winners with free vehicle maintenance for a year. Because now at Jiffy Lube, our trained technicians do more to keep vehicles like theirs and yours on the road. Brakes, tires, batteries, and more. As well as Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
You get an oil change every couple months. It's nice.
Jiffy Lube accepts competitors' coupons, so you don't have to choose between saving a few dollars versus treating your vehicle to Jiffy Lube's award-winning service. Click on JiffyLubeIndiana.com for a Jiffy Lube near you.
At Shane Company, we know that love and meaning can be captured in a beautiful piece of fine jewelry. That's why we offer so many options to make your holiday gift even more personal. Jewelry with a birthstone makes a wonderful gift because it holds so much significance. Shane Company has unique styles with birthstones for every month of the year. Diamonds, cultured pearls, rubies, opals, and more. Why not create a necklace with her birthstone and then add a charm for good luck? A necklace with the first letter of her name lets her know how important she is to you. And our gold letter charms sparkle with diamond accents. Or select an engravable style. Give your loved one a bracelet inscribed with the place you met so they'll never forget that moment. Or capture your strong connection with a promise ring inscribed with both of your initials. Our jewelry consultants will make it easy. At Shane Company, we give you so many ways to create gifts infused with meaning. Treasures they'll have forever.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Lions, Tigers, and tailgates. Oh my. The college football season is always a great time of year. Besides the jerseys, the face paint, and the foam fingers, there's the food. And nothing gets you more fired up for game day than Eckrich smoked sausage. They're naturally hardwood smoked and have the perfect blend of spices. From buffalo sausage dip to sausage chili mac and cheese, Eckrich smoked sausage is a quick way to bring flavor to all your tailgate meals. Visit Eckrich.com for easy, one-of-a-kind sausage recipes. Eckrich, you do you.
Craftsman Days at Lowe's are going on now. Get limited time savings across the store like $100 off a V20 6-tool combo kit. Plus, enter the Craftsman Days Ultimate Garage Sweepstakes for a chance to win Craftsman products valued at over $10,000. Learn more at Lowe's.com/Ultimate Garage. Offer valid through 12/31 while supplies last. No purchase necessary. Ends 12/31. Residents of 50 USDC 18 or older in age or majority and have a Lowe's.com account. Void where prohibited. See rules at Lowe's.com/Ultimate Garage for entry instructions, odd prices, etc. Sponsor Lowe's.
And now a small business setback. Set to smooth jazz.
It's late. You're driving in the rain with only one thing on your mind. The deer about to total your HVAC van. But with Progressive's 30-plus customizable coverage options, you're covered. The rest is just saxophone.
When running your small business gets rough, Progressive Commercial is there to smooth it out. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com.
Twinkly sound.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Celebrate the Colts bye week with an NFL doubleheader. Sunday at noon on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
He's going the distance. It's Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The 8 o'clock hour is underway here on a Monday. Good morning to you. My name is Jake Query. Kevin Bowen, the other voice that you hear on this program. Mark Dykton exercising part of his 11 weeks of vacation. Sam Fritz capably running the board for us this morning after the Colts last night against the Dallas Cowboys. Things started out okay, and then really it was kind of like the Colts season in a microcosm. It started out okay in the beginning, and you thought maybe, although it didn't necessarily for the Colts way back in Houston, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of promise, if you will, and then reality set in. That's what happened last night. A fourth quarter close of 33-0 for the Cowboys, who ended up eclipsing the 50-point mark against the Colts. And for me, Kevin, last night was indeed, and I know I flirted with this and talked about it, insinuated it and hinted it, and then it's sometimes been all on board, but hesitant. There's no hesitancy now. Bottom line, no question about it to me. The page of the calendar has been ripped off on the season. It is time to look forward. They are now 4-8-1. They are, for all intent and purposes, mathematically or even just spiritually, out of any running for the postseason. they had a double box. That's a TV term for when you see two people on the same screen. Of Jim Irsay sitting very stoically and his suite at the game last night and just kind of looking straight ahead. And then they showed Chris Ballard, who was looked kind of like Chris Farley trying to put on David Spade's coat and Tommy Boy. And I don't know if he was leaving or wrestling his sport coat or whatever it might be. But it looked like one guy, to me, it was very symbolic. It looked like one guy who was there to ride things out and is going to stay the course for the long term, obviously, because he's the owner. And it looked like another guy that was exiting stage left and couldn't get out of there fast enough. And to me, that was symbolic of where things are with the Colts now. They have indeed now found themselves completely surrounded in the unescapable vat of suck for the rest of the year.
You know, I think something I was thinking about yesterday, Jake, watching the 1 o'clock, 4:25 games unfold into the Colts playing on Sunday night. The Titans have lost 2 in a row. The Titans are 7-5. There's a good chance they win like 9 games this year. They go 9-8, and yet they're going to win the AFC South by like 3 or 4 games. Like that moment of you play in such a pitiful division, the division leader loses a couple in a row, and yet in Jacksonville, Houston, and Indianapolis can all speak to this. None of those teams can even pretend to threaten, I think, a flawed division leader with injuries playing into it in Tennessee. It was just, that just kind of adds a little salt to the wounds of where you're at right now. And I, again, by no means am I saying like, you know, the Colts, oh boy, they're right there and all that. No. What I'm saying is this is a position right now within this division that, look at the division leader in the AFC East. Look at the division leader in the AFC West, or all around the NFL. 7-5 typically is not the division leader at this point, but yet you can't put any sort of pressure on Tennessee to close out this final month of the season. I said it to lead off the show. For many reasons, there's no reason whatsoever to play Matt Ryan another snap this season. He should be benched for short-term reasons, long-term reasons, financial reasons, all of the above. He looks old physically. He looks old processing, and that is a dangerous combination that gets you exposed very quickly in today's NFL. And boy, did the Colts get exposed in the fourth quarter last night. Because I still feel like there's a chunk of our audience that literally woke up and thought, wait, what? 54-19? I thought the Colts were at least going to cover. Didn't even come close to covering.
Listen, I have said before, there are primetime games sometimes where they just hang around and you're like, yeah, okay. And they looked that way for a little bit. And then they started taking on water, and before you knew it, the main hatchway gave in, right?
Boy, that was unlike anything I've seen.
239-1070. We'll begin with Mo. What's up, Mo? Happy Monday.
Yeah, you too, fellas. I think the fourth quarter last night was a payback to the Peyton Manning years in Tampa when we came back and won that game, and everybody went to bed and woke up the next morning. This was just in the reverse. I went to bed thinking the same thing, and then I couldn't sleep because I thought, well, maybe they'd come back. I went to bed because of what happened at the end of the second quarter when we had a chance to tie. Next thing I know, it's 27-19. I said, here we go. But I thought we'd keep it close. And then everything just kind of fell apart. And I think that's what happens when teams are not very good. They hang, and then there's a point where the hanging actually ends up hanging ourselves, and that's what we did.
I thought that sequence to end the first half, Mo, I thought that was a huge, and I know Joe Rice just brought it up with us, I thought that was a huge change in the game. I know you were still in it into the third quarter, into the fourth, but you had a chance there after the Stephon Gilmore interception to maybe punch that in for 7 and take the lead. Then you got the ball back late in the first half, 14-13. Again, at the very least, as long as you possess the ball and don't turn it over, you're going to be down 1 going into halftime, and then you get the ball start the third quarter. And that was when Matt Ryan threw that ball towards Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce, by the way, did have a great catch on the touchdown catch, right?
Channeling my Jim Irsay there with my Alex Pierce comment.
This one for poor Alex Pierce.
After I snuck in the Gilmore earlier. That's just a ball that, was the guy there a little bit earlier? Sure. But contested passes happen way too frequently with the Colts because defensive backs can just sit on those routes. And when Malik Hooker caught that deflected interception, then they go down and Dallas gets into a 3rd and 9 situation. And Dak Prescott, who's not just some, mobile Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson type quarterback, but yet he makes a subtle move to get out of the pocket, throws that ball to Michael Gallup for the touchdown. And I thought that that put Dallas back in control. And I thought they stayed in control through the third quarter. Again, the score was still pretty close, but I still felt like Dallas had control of it. And then obviously everything snowballed there in the fourth quarter.
Let's go to George. What's up, George?
Hey, fellas. Good morning. How are you?
Doing all right, thanks.
What's up, George?
You sound peppy this morning, George.
Well, I am peppy. The PBR will be on sale here in a little bit. There's always a new week.
Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Hey, fellas, here's the deal. We might be surprised with how it happened last night, but are we surprised that it happened, that we got blown out? Because that's exactly what I expected to occur, and I expected it to occur because of our quarterback turning the ball over, our offense not making enough plays, and just the same thing we've been seeing all year. Like I called you all several weeks ago, said the worst thing that happened was us winning that Raiders game because it gave people more false hope. I'm just going to be rooting like hell for the first time in my life. I'm 50 years old, diehard Colts fan, diehard Pacers fan. For the first time in my life, I'm going to continue to root for the Colts to lose because it all comes down to the future, drafting a quarterback. And can we please finally fire Chris Ballard? What an arrogant SOB.
George, thank you. 9th in draft position right now. Cheer for the Saints tonight, by the way. If the Saints win, Colts will bump up to 8th.
As the game last night was, I think at one point, was it 21-17 or 21-19 you were just talking about?
21-19, yeah.
And I was watching that, and I thought, there seemed to be, there were some teams that are all of a sudden starting to win a little bit. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so Pittsburgh won. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, Green Bay won. And Detroit won. One of those had to, between Detroit and Jacksonville, obviously. Cleveland won. All of these teams yesterday, as the Colts are sitting in traffic of that 4-5 win grouping.
Yeah, Raiders won.
Yeah. Several teams started changing lanes to go to the left because traffic started moving, and I thought to myself, for the Colts, in terms of the draft, oh my goodness, they're actually going to turn on their left turn signal and keep with that group. No, stay in the lane right now, man. Let everybody move, and you just sit where you are, and everybody moves behind you. Opposite analogy here, but you get where I'm going in terms of the draft. And I guess that was the one positive in losing the game is the Colts still stuck on 4 wins. So here you go, right? They moved up. What did they move up? 5 spots?
Yeah, started the day at 14, up to 9. I think, through 3 quarters, there were probably a lot of people that were like, this is exactly what I wanted to see. A very competitive game, and the Colts are losing. Because that is, again, a good amount of people right now, and I totally understand. And that's where, I think that's where you almost have to be. I get there are some people that, might be inside of Lucas Oil Stadium for that Monday nighter with the Chargers here in a couple weeks, and, they've been thinking about that game. It's a Monday after Christmas, and they really want to see a Colts win, fine. But if you care about the long-term future of the franchise, loss the rest of the way.
Let's go to David. What's up, David?
Hey, guys. Good morning. I love the show. I call in frequently, but I don't think Chris Ballard makes it past today. Probably does. I don't know. We'll probably get a number 1, get a top 5 draft pick, get a left tackle or a defensive end or whatever. I don't care no more. Hey, I got a serious question. Do you think Louis Riddick would do a lot better job as a GM and with Jim Harbaugh as a coach?
Well, first off, we'll begin with the coach part.
All the ESPN analysts, right?
That's right. I do believe that Harbaugh is a serious contender for the Colts head coaching position. There are a lot of dominoes that have to fall there, especially in terms of timing. But I do think, yes, Harbaugh will be on a very short list.
What do you want, roster control?
Probably. I don't know, though. Did he have it in San Francisco?
He didn't, but a lot has changed. I think his candidacy and resume has only gotten stronger since then.
But in terms of the general manager, I'm not certain Chris Ballard to be on his way out. Your thoughts?
I think these performances continue to happen, Jake. How do you not clear it all out? I've said it for several weeks now. I don't have a great read on the Ballard situation, but I have long been a big believer in that the head coach and GM should be tied at the hip. When Jim Irsay extended them both last August to match up, that's what he said. Because you get in this awkward balance, Jake, of, all right, let's just play out the scenario that whoever that caller was just alluded to. Ballard stays as GM, and then Harbaugh is hired as head coach. Now is Ballard tied to Harbaugh for the next X amount of years? Like, does Ballard get 6 years blanket?
If Chris Ballard's been here how long, Kevin?
Since 2017.
Okay, so when Chris Ballard got here, who was the head coach?
Chuck for that final season, which
Pagano,
there's
right?
no reason for that to have happened.
But still, Chuck Pagano was the head coach of the Colts under Chris Ballard. Chuck Pagano, who was hired by?
Ryan Grigson.
Okay. So Chuck Pagano, and then in parentheses you put Grigson, because we're writing down who hired him. And then Chuck Pagano leaves, and then the head coach becomes who?
Frank Reich.
Okay. Frank Reich, who was hired by?
Let me guess. Technically Ballard, but I think there's a lot of owner influence, 2000 era Colt influence.
In parentheses there, I'm going to put Jim Irsay, because Josh McDaniel was the Ballard pick, right? Frank Reich has been fired, and then Jeff Saturday is now the head coach. He was hired by who?
Jim Irsay.
Okay, put Jim Irsay in parentheses. So now we're up to four coaches here, and Chris Ballard has yet to hire any of them. So if it's Jim Harbaugh, then you can bet that's a Jim Irsay hire. So now he's up to 0 for, well, like I said, that would be 0 for 4. I mean, as a general manager of a football team, can you imagine lasting that long, going through 4 coaches and you didn't hire any of them?
It's just so awkward for both parties with how it looks right now. And, when you made the move to go from Reich to Saturday, Jim Irsay was a big believer in that the problem was rooted much more in coaching than it was in roster. You're 1-3, been thoroughly outplayed, closing out games in the stretch. At the end of the day, how is it not more personnel than anything? To me, it's just a poorly constructed roster at the critical parts. And again, the hope, part of the Harbaugh allure, and I know Harbaugh said yesterday, I believe, on the conference call for the Fiesta Bowl that he'll be back at Michigan in 2023. Again, saying that on December 4th, and that turned into actions. We'll see that play out. But I think what you're looking at on that front is this attractive enough? I mean, Harbaugh turned down. I don't know if turned down is a little bit too aggressive. He was pretty deep in talks with Minnesota last year. I mean, look at the Minnesota situation versus the Indy situation. Kevin O'Connell walked into the Vikings, and they're what, 9-2, 10-2? You think anyone's walking in here and going 10-2 next season?
Hey, Jake, this from Derek. Jim Harbaugh has already said that he's staying at Michigan. I mean, I'm not saying he's leaving Michigan, but Nick Saban, remember the famous press conference. I'm not going to Alabama. Next day, announced that Alabama. I mean, you just never know with coaches. Let's go to Tim. Tim, what's up?
Yeah, my question, he makes over $6 million this year. If he at least makes the championship game, he'll go up to 8 or 9. I don't think he's leaving Michigan.
Possible, except for that in the, there are challenges, I think, in college football now with NIL and other such things, and now with the, playoff expansion probably helps in terms of that stability. But I think the fact that you turn over your roster every 4 years in college and the constant recruiting, Tim, that's the one thing that I'll say. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just spelling out what would be the lure, if you will, on the other side. Number one, I think Irsay will pay $10 million. That would be my guess. But number two, you're not recruiting. You're not on the road, and you're not having to go and sit in the living room of high school kids and kiss up to their parents 200 days a year.
Well, what do you want professionally, too? I mean, does missing out on that Super Bowl, does that grind him?
Right.
I mean, he's flirted with the NFL before, so I think that is something that would play in it. We'll continue to take your calls. Again, 317-239-1070. Purdue fans, should they be worried about Jeff Brohm? Jake, you see this news?
Jeff Brohm, I think Purdue fans should always be worried about Brohm possibly leaving.
Scott Satterfield, expected to be the new head coach at Cincinnati, so that creates an opening at Louisville, which has always been the rumor given Brahm's pretty extensive.
Kevin Brohm made no bones about the fact.
Family ties.
Last year at the beginning.
Louisville.
At the beginning of the season, he was asked about the Louisville job the last time it was opened up, and he said, well, at that time, the timing wasn't right, but you never say never. I think he'd love to go there.
Yeah, a lot of leverage, probably for Brohm, too, after the season that he just had and has had here with Purdue. So something definitely to keep an eye on. Again, Louisville, Scott Satterfield expected to become the new head coach at Cincinnati, taking over for Luke Fickell. So an opening there with the Cardinals. All right, let's hit a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Ball State Basketball. Get your tickets at ballstatesports.com on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
When the fourth quarter began last night, it was 21-19. When it ended, 54-19. I believe the 33-point margin, did I see this right? And this is where we could use Scotty. 1925, the last time in the NFL.
They were outscored 33-0 in the fourth quarter, Kevin. They were outscored 33-0 in one quarter.
4 turnovers in that fourth quarter. Here was Jeff Saturday afterwards.
It's a calamity of errors, right? Like when you look at it, it was. I think I said 4 possessions in a row where we turned the ball over, and one I know for a touchdown, and maybe the other one. But you're putting your defense in an awful position, and they're a high-powered offense anyway. But when you're not making them sustain anything to get points, it's going to get ugly quick.
It was a calamity of errors, a comedy of errors. 33-0 in a quarter. I mean, to be honest, they should put a statue up.
Oh,
right?
Well, definitely hang the banner. Can we get the rare air audio, Sam?
In terms of getting outscored in a quarter, that is in the upper quartile of the upper quartile, and that is rare air.
Now, Jake, if the Saints win tonight, the Colts will be in the 8th draft position.
Now, here's the better question. The better question. Who would be in front of them?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but at 8th, wouldn't that put the Colts in the bottom quartile of the NFL right now?
In the draft, that puts them in the upper quartile, which is rare air.
In
right?
NFL records, you'd be in the bottom quartile for the 2022 season. Pacers last night, it's been an ugly Western road trip. They've been thoroughly outplayed in really all of the games, save for that fourth quarter of the Lakers game. They lose last night in Portland by 16. That's on the heels of a couple 20-point defeats in the previous outings against the Jazz on Friday night. Tonight, they will have the Warriors, so it'll be a back-to-back. Tyrese Halliburton did not play due to a groin injury. He will not play tonight. T.J. McConnell is out due to illness, so Andrew Nembhard was about all they had as a point guard. So we knew this would be difficult. Rick Carlisle kind of warned us about it, and it's certainly held true. The Pacers back to 12-11 on the season.
College basketball yesterday, it was Purdue 89-70 over Minnesota. Boilers 1-0 in the Big Ten. Zach Edey, 31 points, 22 rebounds. Fletcher Lawyer, the freshman, had 20 for the Boilers. By the way, Kevin, in the NFL draft as it's slotted right now, these are the teams that would draft ahead of the Indianapolis Colts. When I say them, I want you to immediately say yes or no if they would be looking to draft a quarterback. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Houston Texans.
Yes.
Chicago Bears.
No.
Seattle Seahawks.
Sure.
Detroit Lions.
Yes.
Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
Philadelphia Eagles.
No.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
No.
Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so that is you're now looking at the 5th, maybe 6th quarterback.
The Eagles having a top 10 pick is just unbelievable. Via the Saints, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. It is via the
on
Saints.
That front. Other college basketball news from this weekend: Indiana loses at the Rack. That was Saturday, 63-48. No Jalen Hood-Schifino in that game. And Jake, I think we knew this sort of blueprint was the way to kind of beat Indiana. Muck it up, throw a bunch of bodies at Trace Jackson Davis. It's exactly what Rutgers did. Honestly, Rutgers doesn't have some imposing 6'11" guy. Cliff Amore, their one big guy, got in foul trouble, but they threw a ton of bodies at him, made Indiana's perimeter guys hit jump shots, and outside of Miller Kopp, no one did. Xavier Johnson, 2 of 11, 6 turnovers.
And listen, no Jordan Hood-Schifino, as you'd said, which is a difference, but you can't shoot the ball from the outside, Kevin. There are a lot of teams that are going to go to Rutgers and struggle. I mean, Rutgers will guard you up, but there are teams in the Big Ten that are going to pack in on Trace Jackson Davis, and Indiana's going to have nights where if their shot's not falling from the outside, they're going to be in a world of hurt, and that's what happened on Saturday. Still a really good team, really good roster, but they got to be able to shoot the ball better.
Week 13 around the NFL, what else stood out to you? It seemed to be the week for quarterback injuries.
Well, as you admit, Philly over over Tennessee.
Boy, that was a
to
rout.
me. I mean, the way that Philly did it, right? And it kind of makes you look even more so at the Colts situation with regret because Tennessee's starting to slide back to reality.
It's just salt in the wounds.
How about Washington and New York tying?
That was great.
Is there anything more NFC East than Washington and the Giants tying? Ugh.
Wanted to give Mark a hug watching Aaron Rodgers do it again at Soldier Field, 18-0 in the fourth quarter. The Packers come back to beat the Bears. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, knee injury. Tua got hurt, ankle. Doesn't sound like that's too bad. How about Jimmy Garoppolo? Season-ending, is it ankle or foot injury for him?
Somebody asked me this question last night, and I don't even know the possibility of this.
Brock Purdy.
San
Francisco QB now.
If you waive a guy right now, he's obviously eligible to sign elsewhere tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think when you do it this late in the year, if I'm not mistaken, I think everybody has to clear waivers.
So I can't imagine anybody would want him, but San Francisco, knowing that they are, San Francisco is decent, and I think was probably in their mindset was thinking that they were a contender in the NFC. Now they basically are looking for a quarterback. Could Indianapolis release Matt Ryan just in hopes that San Francisco takes him, and would that alleviate some of the financial responsibility?
Yeah, I don't think financially San Francisco's in a position to take on Matt Ryan's contract.
That may be the case.
Nor why would they want him?
Well, I agree with that, except for that
he's old. He stinks.
I don't disagree, but do they have the weapons that can at least make him serviceable down the home stretch? Some of the balls that he was throwing, it was like, what? Somebody made the point. Back in the day at the RCA Dome, this is a great point somebody sent to me. Back in the day in the RCA Dome, they would have like this little remote-controlled blimp that would fly around. And that's kind of what his passes look like, right? They're like remote-controlled blimps. Brrr, just like hanging around.
It's like me trying to make a paper airplane in tech ed class and just... You're just hoping, praying the ball gets there. But yeah, 49ers beat the Dolphins. Monday Night Football tonight will be Bucks and Saints.
Woof.
Yeah, that's probably an accurate way to put it. Granted, I think that's a reaction people say around the league when they hear the Colts are in primetime.
Oh, especially now, right?
Now.
Jim Irsay, bitched a blue streak forever about the Colts not getting primetime games. Well... Hope you enjoyed it while it lasted, right?
317-239-1070. We'll continue to take your calls. Still got to give out our fan tweets of the game. Some ones that definitely had me chuckling late last night. Kevin and Corey on what looks to be a nice Monday here in Indy.
Furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains? We'll find that American Standard air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Still not done with holiday shopping? Well, Daniel J. Dockich is here to tell you if you're a AAA member like me, I've got you covered. Give the gift of peace of mind this holiday season. Simple. A AAA membership. It's the gift that keeps giving well past the holidays. Flat tire, dead battery, lock your keys in your car, 24/7 roadside assistance from AAA for the entire year is peace of mind. Check another thing off your list by giving someone you care about a AAA membership. Hey, you can get yours today by visiting your local AAA office by calling 844-GO-AAA-GO or by visiting AAA.com. And don't forget to ask about complimentary travel planning and great insurance rates on home, auto, life, and so much more. AAA, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't have to be stuck on the side of the road to get assistance from AAA.
Basements get a bad rap. Probably because so many of them are wet, leaky, and musty. Thanks to screenwriters, crawl spaces aren't very popular either. Michaelis is putting an end to the horror show. Their time-tested waterproofing systems eliminate and prevent water issues. Damp and moldy becomes clean and healthy. And their French drains, vapor barriers, and encapsulation techniques turn crawl spaces into a Disney set. Yeah, okay, that probably went a bit far. But with over 35 years experience, they have a lot of homeowners enjoying their basements again. Think Michaelis. And think how nice it would be to get rid of foundation cracks, basement leaks, damp smells, and all the nightmares that come with them. Water, storms, fire, and foundations. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with Autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Start a new career with a job that keeps your community safe. The Marion County Sheriff, Carrie Forrestal, is hiring detention deputies to work in the brand new Community Justice Center. You'll supervise and guard offenders, making Marion County a better place to live. Starting pay begins at around $40,000 a year with a $5,000 signing bonus. Enjoy great benefits like complete health coverage and pension plan. Start your career as a detention deputy and earn the respect of your community. Apply today at joinmcso.indy.gov.
School is in session.
Seth Greenberg, where does Indiana's roster fit among the best in the country, or does it?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. You know what? Because look, Trace Jackson-Davis is a matchup nightmare at the elbow on the baseline, on the glass. I think they got some shot makers. I like their team. They've got maturity. They got a little bit of toughness. They're guarding people. I've been really impressed with them.
Dan Dockich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. It's Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'd say a bright spot from last night was definitely getting Alec Pierce back involved. He had the big 45-yarder early on that set up the Ashton Doolin touchdown, which that was a great route, and that was really just great game planning. Trayvon Diggs, a guy that loves to jump those sorts of routes. Then Pierce had the touchdown in the third quarter, which, you know, we had Joe Reitz on earlier, and that was, I think, well said by Joe, arguably the best drive of the season for the Colts. And if you look at November, Jake, Alec Pierce in the month of November, 4 games, 4 catches, 14 targets. We probably get the lazy narrative too often. Has the rookie hit the rookie wall? But, you know, I think that was like a question in November. I think it probably has more to do with the personnel around him. And Collinsworth was calling for it all last night, and rightfully so. What Pierce gives you, that's got to be a staple at least once a half, where you just load up the protection, hell, keep everybody in the block, and you just throw him a ball down the field.
I mean, the touchdown catch he had was like he managed to corral his body is the left side of his body is warding off the defender. He's twisting. He uses the right side of his body to absorb in the football. I mean, it was a heck of a play, man.
Heck of a play.
And I thought the most interesting thing, the two most interesting things to me last night were both courtesy of the NBC broadcast. The first being Chris Collinsworth. You know, and it does always kind of make me chuckle. The broadcasts they meet with, seemingly like the quarterback, the head coach, they have meetings with all of the key players. And a lot of times people are like, well, how come the local guys keep getting scooped by all the national guys? Well, because the national guys are paying for it. That's why. Because when you're the broadcast rights carrier and you pay a $5 billion television contract, you're paying for access. That's what that means. But when Collinsworth said that he said to Matt Ryan when they saw them in the meeting, hey, how's it going? And that's like a rhetorical question, right? How's it going? And most people, it's like when you say to somebody like, hey, man, how are you? And they're like, well, I've got a foot fungus and, my cat's sick. And you're like, no, it was a rhetorical question. I don't really care how you're doing. Usually you see somebody and you go, how's it going? And they go, good, man, how are you? And Matt Ryan apparently is like, well, yeah, it's not been great. And Collinsworth was like divulging that, which I thought was very telling that Ryan even would have gone into that sort of elaboration that made it even worthy of Collinsworth relaying it. And then the other, as I mentioned earlier, was the double box camera shot late in the game, during the deluge, when they showed Jim Irsay in his suite, and he was just sitting completely stoically, and Chris Ballard was packing up to leave. And I thought, well, that might be symbolic, right? One's not going anywhere, and the other's like, it's time to head out, right?
You with me on Matt Ryan benched?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Kevin, there are two things that I thought last night. The first I'm hesitant to say because I am very appreciative of and very aware of the fact that people having an interest in the Colts and wanting to know what's going on with the Colts really allows for us to be able to do what we do for a living, which I'm very appreciative of, and I think I don't want to speak for you, but we enjoy doing it.
Sure, without question.
And there are certainly other subject matters to talk about, don't get me wrong, and you got the Pacers, you got basketball season, everything else. But I did feel like last night, okay, this is the Band-Aid has been ripped off on the season. It is now officially about next year, and people, in my mind, I was thinking people surely have to be checked out after this for the season. I don't mean checked out entirely on the Colts, but just people have to now be aware that the season is a wash, one would assume, right? I mean, I don't know that, but that was what I thought. And so, yes, what value is there in playing a guy and letting him ride out the finality of his career before us? I don't see the point.
And for me, like, there's a lot of reasons, Jake, I think, to do it. One, the financial component. We can get more to this later in the week, but basically, if Matt Ryan were to get hurt, you would owe him about $17 million for next season that you currently do not owe him. Those numbers get guaranteed. Those bonuses become a cap hit in March. So that would be a big reason. Two, I just think there's a little accountability in the here and now of Jeff Saturday saying the play at that position is not acceptable. And if you're going to preach that accountability, you need to preach it at that spot. The spot where you came in the building and made a change at
but
that
here's
position.
The thing, though, Kevin, let me ask you this. For the franchise, maybe I get it, but for Jeff Saturday, we'll just take this. You want Jeff Saturday to hold people accountable, right? Well, if Jeff Saturday is only going to be your coach for 5 more games, and if holding people accountable means winning games and now sliding back again further away from the top of the draft, what good, other than just the message of within your franchise, what's the real purpose of Jeff Saturday holding guys accountable?
Are you trying to create a culture that is a big reason why you brought him in?
Yes, I mean I get it. I think culture is like the most overrated buzzword in all of sports, personally. But yeah, I get that. But I mean, at this point, do you want to? I get it. I mean, you want guys to know that in the long term that it's a place where you come to win, yada yada yada. But for right now, does it do you any good for guys to be like, we are all in, like let's go for it, 8-1, here we come, baby?
No, obviously losing is the best thing for the franchise, but that's not how Jeff Saturday's thinking.
No, I get it.
Right, and again, these are just parts of my it's time to bench Ryan. Lastly, whether you want to further evaluate what you have offensively, or you just want to get another look at Sam Ehlinger. You watched Sam Ehlinger play 2 games. Washington game, I thought he played decent. I thought he played probably better than decent, to be honest with you. Had some nice moments in that game. Then he goes to Foxborough, and he looks like a quarterback, making his first road start, facing a Bill Belichick defense. Is that it? Are we done? Is he the backup of the future? Is he a nobody? Is it like what is he? I think it would also allow for you to get a little bit more of a look at Ehlinger. Again, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, but I think that answer you would be able to find a little bit more if you turn to him. But more than anything, I just think if you, and Saturday would appear to have this, if you are trying to win, there is no way Matt Ryan is your best option right now. No
Hey,
way.
Mike. I think Mike wanted to weigh in on it. What's up, Mike?
Hey guys, good morning. So I haven't really heard nobody talk about this guy in particular, but we lost him in the off season, and I personally think he was a big key to our offensive line. Mark Glowinski, he was like our glue guy. I think we was, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we was number 8 or 9 last year offensive line production. Now we're 31st, 32nd, whatever you want to say, but we're ass altogether. The offensive line, the quarterback, the wide receivers. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, this thing just needs reconstructed, blown up from the ground up. But do you think Mark Glowinski was the glue guy that kept this line, I guess, in check, however you want to put it in your terms? But, I mean, Eric Fisher, was it him? Was it Glowinski? I mean, it's only 2 pieces that changed on this line, and I believe the line is the reason that we're 4-8-1. I mean, we can't get the ground game going. That's what the problem you have when your best offensive player is a running back, too. And you get down, they take him out of the game. I mean, so.
Well, I thought it was interesting last night, Mike. Appreciate the call. When Collinsworth said, look, they've never had a problem protecting the run. They just can't protect the pass. They have no pass protection at all. And in today's NFL, I'm sorry, I don't care if you got Earl Campbell back there. You got to be able to throw the football.
Yeah, to Mike's point, I think you've regressed at every single offensive line spot. The Glowinski loss and the Chris Reed loss, I think you felt that at right guard for sure, but I think you've gotten worse at left tackle in the short term. Quentin Nelson is not at the level that you're used to with him. Certainly Ryan Kelly is not, and then Braden Smith over at right tackle.
Hey, Jake, if Matt Ryan retires, the Colts will have retired 3 quarterbacks since 2019. See, they should have a banner for that too, right? That's awesome. How many franchises can say that? Managed to get 3 quarterbacks to retire in 5 years. Hell yes.
Is that rare?
That is in the upper quartiles of quarterback retirement, right?
Hey, Jake, this is a little bit more of a bigger picture take on that. But that notion, and again, Andrew Luck was obviously a surprise. Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan would not be a surprise given their ages when they came here. That goes against everything that Jim Irsay, as owner, desires in this new era of the Colts. Sustained success, multiple Lombardis, is what he says. The best chance of doing that is to go find a quarterback that you can groom and have under center for years to come. Years to come. Versus Band-Aid, stopgap, Band-Aid, stopgap, Band-Aid, stopgap.
Hey, do you remember in like week 4 when I was the worst human being on the history of the planet and the dumbest sports person ever to walk the face of the earth when I implied that they should parlay Jonathan Taylor into picks?
Seems rather harsh to go there for yourself?
I'm just telling you what the reaction was. How do you think people like that thought now? Are people still in on, like, keep Jonathan Taylor and, he's a 2,000-yard back, you can't replace him, yada, yada, yada? Or are people like, you know what, they got too many holes, man. They got too many needs.
Yeah, someone asked me a couple weeks ago about, Taylor as a generational talent. You can't be generational at running back anymore.
He's a generational talent that is a talent in a generation long gone.
Yeah, you need too much around you to be perfect and sound for you to be like Saquon Barkley is an absolute freak of athletic ability, and when he's healthy, he is a beast. But he can't stay healthy, and he's too reliant on his offensive line to produce.
Right.
And so therefore, spending the pick that they spent on Barkley or paying Taylor that money just does not add up in modern NFL
Major
football.
Taylor was a generational talent at riding the bicycle, and then they invented the automobile. You know what I mean?
That was a strong indie reference there.
Thank you.
He's Jay Query. I'm Kevin Bowen. Sam Fritz in for Mark Dykton. We'll continue to take your calls and give out our fan tweets of the game. Colts 21-19. They were down late third quarter last night. If you went to bed, you woke up to 54-19. That is not a misprint. We'll explain more coming up next.
107.5 The Fan is your one-stop shop for the Indianapolis sports fan. Colts, Pacers, IU, Purdue, and insights from Kevin Bowen, JMV, Dan Dockett, Jay Query. Your home for Indy sports. 107.5thefan.com.
Colts fans, now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, it's Mark from Kevin and Query, and right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet good for up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is sign up with promo code MARK. FanDuel is all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. You can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay, which is one of my personal favorites. With live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. You'll get your winnings fast, all on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So all you have to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and sign up with promo code MARK for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the Indianapolis Colts. 21 and over and present in Indiana. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is now withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. 877-ASK-DELL.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. 40, love, match point. Out.
There's no way that was out.
Out. The ball is out. It's out.
Are you even watching?
No, honestly, I'm not. I'm watching college football on my phone with AT&T 5G.
Wow, that's too much.
With AT&T 5G, too much college football is never too much. 5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. Another reason to go to Hellsberg? Get a free Microsoft Surface Laptop Go with a purchase of $1,699 or more. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you today. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in-store for details.
Do you work in the performance, automotive, or racing industry? Jake Query here, telling you not to miss the 3 biggest business days in motorsports. This week, Thursday to Saturday, is the PRI Trade Show right here in Indianapolis. Connect with over 1,000 motorsports exhibitors eager to showcase their latest products and solutions. Register in advance at PRI2022.com/attend and pick up your badge on site at the Indiana Convention Center. Register today at PRI2022.com/attend for the PRI Trade Show. See you there.
Hubler really does have it all. All of our pre-owned vehicles are Hubler Q certified, which include a 128-point vehicle inspection, a free Carfax vehicle history report, and 2 warranties. A 2-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and a 30-day, 1,000-mile comprehensive warranty. Visit any of our 13 locations today, or click drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
The Pacers are in San Francisco to take on the Golden State Warriors. Tonight at 9:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I know we're talking a lot of Colts here, but this story is interesting, Kevin, in the fact that Louisville is going to be looking for a new head football coach, and Jeff Brohm had said about a year ago, I think it was, to boosters, he was asked about Louisville. I think it's actually he was in Louisville giving a speech for something and was asked about coaching at Louisville, and he said, look, the last time when that came up, it just wasn't the right time for me, and you never say never. Purdue coming off of an appearance in the Big Ten championship game, headed to the Citrus Bowl against LSU, 8-win season, and a realignment of the Big Ten divisions that seemingly, I'm not going to say that that's the ceiling of what you can do at Purdue, but would you agree with me when I say this, and I mean this as no disrespect at all to Purdue, who I like just fine as an athletic department, but home is home. I would be stunned if Louisville did not pursue and eventually land Jeff Brohm this time around.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the family ties speak for themselves. I mean, Brohm is beloved at Louisville, played there, went to Trinity, coached there for a while early in his coaching career. So I think this has always been the one that Purdue fans are most worried about. You know, for a program, Jake, that you don't look at on the surface and think, oh, yeah, you have to leave Purdue to go to Louisville. Like, it's not like it's some huge stepping stone. It's not leaving, you know, Purdue to go coach at Alabama.
The one detriment may be that Purdue is already in the super conference of the Big Ten once we get these 2 super conferences, and Louisville may well be a school and a conference that's frozen out.
Yeah, I guess you could look at it 2 ways.
But that would literally be the only thing that I would think that would be a detriment, right?
Is that appealing, though? Is it harder to win in the Big Ten? Or do you look at it from if you're not in this conference, you're not going to have a chance to survive?
I think to me, those 2 things are a tie, and the push would be that home is home.
Yeah, it'd be again, ton of leverage. If you're Jeff Brohm's agent, you got to be pretty happy right now.
You ain't lying, man.
We'll continue to take some phone calls. Again, our fan tweet of the game. We will do that coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. Kind of a mystery for me last night, the lack of playing time for Jelani Woods.
Well, and the guy that was taking those reps for him had a pretty big bobble.
How bad of a season has Mo Alley Cox had?
Yeah. Especially when a guy like Jelani Woods is kind of a younger version of what he brings to the table, right?
You signed the new contract, Mo Alley Cox, and such a poor season as Colts tight end number 1. Yeah, Woods, for a while there, I'm thinking to myself, where has he been? Like, not playing at all, and he dressed. I'm like, is he only needed an emergency duty? And then the fourth quarter rolled around, and they threw him out there, and they played him like the entire fourth quarter. I'm like, Why was he not in there earlier?
How about this tweet from Christy? Matt Ryan threw 3 interceptions, had a fumble last night. They need to release him immediately. He's absolutely terrible. His play and the play of the O-line has led directly to 5 losses. Ryan kills the momentum every single time. If he is on the roster this week, I'm not watching another game this year.
Well, looks like we lost one.
Christy.
Christy, you're going to have your Sundays open then moving forward.
You think so?
Well, he's definitely going to be on the roster.
All right. I love it, though. Christy's fired up. Love it.
Purdue's supposed to have a Citrus Bowl press conference this morning. Oof.
Wonder what those questions will be about.
I feel the questions could be a little bit different for Jeff Brohm and Mike Babensky. All right. Again, 9 o'clock hour coming up. Kevin and Query will continue to take your calls, get to our fan tweets of the game. Kevin and Query on a Monday.
School is in session.
Seth Greenberg, where does Indiana's roster fit among the best in the country, or does it?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. You know what? Because Trace Jackson-Davis is a matchup nightmare at the elbow on the baseline, on the glass. I think they got some shot makers. I like their team. They've got maturity. They got a little bit of toughness. They're guarding people. I've been really impressed with them.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Dan Dockage for Affinity Whole Health, the leader in testosterone therapy. They've got me on a testosterone program. Got to tell you, I feel amazing. Get started at feelgreatindy.com. That's feelgreatindy.com.
Need new tires? Skip the long appointments and bad coffee. With Go Mobile Tires Indy, order tires online and have them installed at your home or office. GoMobileIndy.com. We come to you.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. It's Mark Dietel, 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, that's markdietel.com. MarkDietel.com today. No matter what you're thinking about doing, if you want a little bit of an upgrade, you want more property, it's Mark Dietel. If you want to downsize because your kids are off to college, you don't need all that space, it's Mark Dietel. In fact, Mark has guarantees, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. Meantime, Melinda in Indianapolis, kids were gone. It was time to downsize, just what I'm talking about here, to a more manageable place. Who did she call? Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty. What did he do? Got the job done right for her. He's going to guarantee an offer in 3 days for full market value, or he will list it for free. That's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty today. 317-755-4232. MarkDietel.com, MarkDietel.com today.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, 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 Royal Pin.
Make your plans now for a fun holiday party at any Royal Pin Entertainment Center. Treat your employees to a great time with bowling, appetizers from chips to heavy hors d'oeuvres, food packages from pizza to prime rib, and a wide range of party options from just bowling to laser tag, limitless VR, go-karts, arcade, and more. You can upgrade with adult beverages, craft beer, premium spirits, and frozen drinks. Want a custom party? Their sales team can make it happen. Reward your team for their hard work. Email events at royalpin.com or visit royalpin.com to book today.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Hurry, space is filling up fast. That's royalpin.com.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin, bowling.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Join me on Monday, which is today. We're going to talk Colts. We're going to talk IU. We're going to talk to Don Fisher. We're going to talk to Greg Rakestraw. We're going to talk to Sean Salisbury. Join me today, noon to 3.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I don't know if it was something I said earlier, but I like 3 Carson Wentz related messages in the last break asking about kind of Wentz's presence, hiding some of the pass protection issues last year. I mean, Wentz certainly kept some plays alive, got out of sacks. I think an issue that the Colts thought they were upgrading and going from Wentz to Ryan is they felt like from a mental processing standpoint, they would have a quarterback that could get them out of some sacks, some pressures, etc. pre-snap. They knew physically they weren't going to have a mobile quarterback, but they thought that Ryan would be able to identify that stuff pre-snap. And Jake, we saw it again last night. The amount of free rushers continues to be an issue. And again, that to me is like Matt Ryan doesn't look old just with his arm. He looks old as a processor. And when you can't throw and your mind isn't as sharp as it needs to be, you're going to be the laughingstock of the NFL, and that's where the Colts are at right now.
Think they're the laughingstock of the NFL? They're probably close, right? I mean, 33-0 in a quarter.
I mean, Troy Aikman literally laughed at him last Monday, and Chris Collinsworth did everything but laugh at him last night.
33-0 in a quarter.
It was actually said multiple times in the fourth quarter, you're being publicly embarrassed on national television.
33-0 in a quarter. That's not embarrassing. You should be proud of that. 33-0? Hang a banner. We got beat 33-0 in a quarter.
So the Colts had not allowed that many points in a game all season, but they allowed 33 and a quarter.
I mean, seriously, like, can you imagine 132-0 in a game? Like, why stop? It's too bad they waited till the fourth to let that happen. They should have just gone with it right from the get-go and just let's go.
I did like the Ezekiel Elliott touchdown celebration in the kettle, like the little Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was
Did you see the whack-a-mole they did? They showed the...
Yeah, that was good. They got fined for that, right?
They did, and they gave the money, I believe, to the Salvation Army.
Right. I thought that was very well done by the Cowboys. All right, it's time for our fan tweet of the game, and even though Mark is still traveling back, he was able to fire out. I think he sent the tweet with like 5 minutes to go in the game, Jake.
There are some great ones here in terms of...
He goes, forget waiting until this goes final. Give us your post-game headlines in 5 words or less to describe what the hell this is. Jake, lead us off. What stands out to you?
I'm going to go with Scotty, a Colts guy, who says, that was rear air. Very solid, right?
Oh, my God.
This from Rob Albright. The dam has finally broken. True. My man Ty Garrett, Cowboys clown Colts.
How about this from John? I don't know if I can say this out loud. Hooker screws Ryan and Colts. Can I say that out loud?
That is really solid.
If the Indy Star did not go with that headline today, they are missing out.
That is super solid.
How good is that?
Really good.
John hat tip. Hooker screws Ryan and Colts.
Jason, noodle arm, Butterfingers, turnover.
I like that. It sounded like going over my grandma's house.
I see Charlie here will probably lose bye week.
Yeah.
That's solid. That's solid. This from Jules. Never-ending train wreck.
Jason, Cowboys beat dead horse.
That's solid, right?
Joshua, think about your family, Ryan.
Ben, Dallas just scored again. That probably actually was true while he was writing it, right? This one hurts from what I think is a bot. No credibility with fan base. I mean, Jim Irsay's got to hate seeing that, right? Did you see Jim Irsay last night when he tweeted, like, big game tonight? Did you read the replies even before the game began?
No, should I have?
Oh, man. Brutal. I mean, just brutal.
Trev goes, I just vomited 3 times. It was about 4 o'clock yesterday, and old Max had quite the projectile vomit on his dad. And I'm sitting there, like, it was one of those, like, immediate shorts and shirt, both to the laundry. And I'm thinking to myself, was this Max telling me what I was about to watch in the fourth quarter in about 6 hours?
This from Ryan. Banned from primetime 2023.
Seriously. Ryan, bottom quartile of bottom quartile. Hashtag rare air. Again, one spot right now from the bottom quartile.
This from Big Og. At least it was scorigami. That is true. That was the first time ever, right? Yes, it was a scorigami, which means it was the first time in NFL history that a game ended at 54-19.
They've had a couple of those this year, right?
I think that might be their second scorigami.
Hooker screws Ryan and Colts.
That's really solid.
Is that our best one of the year?
Yes. It can't get any better, right? Like, literally, we should end this. We should retire the segment. The Colts season and this segment both ended last night, right? It's over.
I remember when the Colts drafted Malik Hooker, someone was saying they really hoped that they would draft another guy, maybe named Mike Hooker, so on the back of Malik's jersey it would say Ma Hooker.
Okay. By the way, this is a good one. Matt pulls Avonte Davis. That's kind of a deep cut, right?
Yeah.
Avonte Davis, by the way, retired at halftime of the game. That's what that means.
I mean, you think there's any ounce of Matt Ryan that sees this? I mean, he has to feel it. And I said it earlier, Jake. That Tennessee game in Nashville, when he got benched after that game, but then he also missed a couple of weeks due to practice, due to a right shoulder sprain, missed practice, I should say. His velocity doesn't even look like where it was early in the year. I think he's hurt.
Curtis says this because Mark's tweet is, in 5 words or less, tell us a headline for the Colts game. Curtis's 5 words are, I only need one, pathetic. Yeah. But we should have saved the Hooker one for last because there's no bouncing back from that.
John, you deserve a day off for that one. Great work.
John absolutely wins the internet, right?
Ben goes, my only concern with benching Matt Ryan is that if it actually works and we win, change nothing, stack L's, get draft position.
Yeah.
I'll continue to say this. You run Matt Ryan out there, that's $17 million that you're risking for 2023.
Derek, Dallas digs Matt Ryan's grave. That's probably right in terms of his professional career. He doesn't play anywhere next year, does he?
You wouldn't think, right? Who would be the Vegas odds as the Colts 2023 starter?
Marcus Mariota. How many years did Mariota sign with Atlanta?
No, it's the guy that I wanted last year.
I know.
1.
He's on a 1-year deal?
Nick Foles?
Good Lord.
I'm on board the Foles train all the way.
That's because you're biased.
Right, I'm on board all the way with him this season because he's at least going to be fun to watch.
It would appear as though there was one guy on the Colts payroll who wanted Nick Foles, and that guy got fired. So now it's like, well, what do we do with this guy? You know what I mean? Like Nick Foles literally is to the Colts roster what Allen was in The Hangover. They're all standing around the elevator, and Chris Ballard, who's played by Bradley Cooper, is like, who invited this guy? Nick Foles is like, you guys ready to let the dogs out?
Did not have the Nick Foles Allen hangover analogy on my bingo card today.
That's what it is, though, right? Literally, it's like, who invited this guy? What is he doing here?
Let's go back to the phone lines. Taylor joins us now. Taylor, you jealous of what Dallas has turned into?
Yeah, I think that, Dallas was what the Colts thought we were going to be this year. They've got the solid running game, great offensive line. You had a veteran quarterback coming in, and I feel like, if nothing else, at least this can show Chris Ballard what a true number one wide receiver can be. If you had a
CeeDee Lamb.
So, thanks for taking my call from Virginia, guys.
Love it. Thank you, Taylor. Apologies for cutting you off there.
Taylor, I'm telling you, I think you make a great point because the Cowboys are a team that we haven't talked a lot about. I mean, you haven't heard a lot about, which is weird because it's the Dallas Cowboys, right? But they're good. They're really good. And
CeeDee Lamb is smooth.
He is
smooth.
Man.
How many yards after catch for him last night?
I mean, well, how many? You notice what was interesting is it was at late third or early fourth, they started incorporating him into the offense without having to go through the air.
Yeah, the jet sweep to him a couple times in a row. Yeah, he's a pretty special talent. I'll be curious to see the Odell Beckham situation, how that plays out for Dallas. But their pass rush, though, I mean, it's in waves. It's in waves. I said it to Jeff Saturday on Friday. There's been some people out there that have referenced this Dallas team in how they close out games, similar to the Colts era when Freeney and Mathis would close out games. And Saturday said he would agree with that, but what's different, again, is there's so much depth, so many different guys. Obviously, Micah Parsons is a stud, but I mean, how many sacks did they have at Ryan? Last night, was it 3 or 4?
Well, and here's the thing. Those aren't coverage sacks either. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
I mean, those are...
We're hunting
Holy
you.
cow, look out. Like, I mean, it's coming like there's nothing you could do about it. There's this just tsunami coming at you.
Dak Prescott hit 1 time last night. Matt Ryan hit 7.
Well, as I said, in terms of the turnovers, is it, and I can never remember, are we going with Will Fries or Will Fries? It's
Fries,
right?
Yep.
So do you know what Will Fries... Ashton Doolin and Granson all have in common? Do you know what they all registered last night?
They all had a tackle?
Correct. They all had a solo tackle. So you have 3 offensive players who registered on the Colts' defensive box score. That's not a strong sign.
The YouTube chat's clamoring for a tankathon, Jake.
Oh, I believe I've got the tankathon. Stand by.
First time the Colts have been in the top 10 in a while, right?
Yeah, let me go ahead and...
Again, the Colts started the day at 14, moved up to 9, can get up to 8 in draft order tonight if the Saints win. If you look ahead to next week, Colts have a bye week, so they can only move further up. I mean, there's a good chance when the Colts get back to play the Vikings, they could be, I don't know, 7th, 6th.
Okay, here we go on the... Now, do we have... Sam probably doesn't have the ESPN draft pick jingle, right?
Not up and ready. I can find it.
No, I'll just give it to you right here. You ready? Can you imagine if this happens? Okay.
Oh, gosh. I don't like when you laugh like that.
Okay.
Has me nervous. You got them picking a guard?
With the 9th pick and the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Tyree Wilson, defensive end from Texas Tech University. Can you imagine if they take an offensive lineman with the first round?
The 37th one they've taken in the Ballard era in the first few rounds.
And one of them that they took in the second round 2 years ago didn't have a tackle last night, despite 3 offensive players recording one.
So right? where are the quarterbacks in that?
This has Bryce Young, number 1 to Houston. And this is what we were talking about. The Colts right now, if they were to draft, would be 9th. Bryce Young is, this is obviously a mock draft. Take it for what it's worth. Bryce Young, number 1 to Houston. C.J. Stroud, number 3 to Seattle. Will Levis, number 4 to Detroit. Those are the only quarterbacks going ahead of them.
Levis is where?
4th to Detroit, to the Fighting Mottmans. The next quarterback... See, there's just a huge drop-off at quarterback. There's not even a quarterback going in the first round after that. So you got to keep moving up, basically. Because there are some teams in front of Indianapolis drafting that have no interest in taking
Chicago.
Philly doesn't need a quarterback. Chicago. Now, the problem is, I will bet you a decent amount that Chicago trades out, right? Because if you're Chicago, you're smart, and...
Yeah, wouldn't you want a trade partner in the AFC, though, Jake? I think the Colts would be a trade partner given the ties to Chicago and Philly.
Is Chris Ballard willing to give up some of his coveted draft capital to move into the second spot?
Well, you're going to have to.
Or do you give up Jonathan Taylor?
Anything is on the board to find the future at the most important position.
At some point you have to address the quarterback position, period. The other teams in the AFC that are around that who else in the AFC is desperately looking for a quarterback? Maybe the Raiders. Maybe is New England still in a quarterback business?
Well, Houston for sure.
Well, but Houston's got the number 1.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that would have to trade
Got
up.
it.
Denver probably, right?
Pat's already working on talking points for Jim Irsay for his next press conference. He goes, Colts lost by 35. That's still not as bad as Michael Jordan's worst loss, 37 points.
Do you know how many games Michael Jordan lost?
Pat, very good. Really, really good.
Beautiful.
Joe Reitz joined us earlier. You guys missed that. You check out the podcast. It seems like, and Bob Kravitz just wrote this on The Athletic, that the Colts need to make a push for Jim Harbaugh. I'll be curious to see how the Harbaugh one plays out. I'm going to come out with a candidate list. I'll post to 1075thefan.com this week. I was kind of waiting for the bye week to do that. Harbaugh was already a name that I had on there. He's certainly be a much different style than recent Colts coaches. His resume at San Francisco is darn impressive. Curious a couple things. Would he want personnel control? And is this enticing for him? Again, he was deep in talks with Minnesota last year. He's walking into Minnesota with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook and a pretty good defensive line. And, I mean, Kirk Cousins is at least better than, I guess, the situation that the Colts have here. And look what Kevin O'Connell's done walking in there this year. Clearly, they were not that far off. Does the fact that they don't have a QB, but they might find one in the draft, is that, like, enticing to him? Is it too much uncertainty for him? Because I think Harbaugh realizes, this is the move. Like, when you make one more move to the NFL, this is it. This is your last chance at going back to that level and trying to win that elusive Super Bowl they didn't get with San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to there are pros and cons both ways. Harbaugh's at his alma mater. He has a chance to win a national championship with them. He seemingly has the program where they want to go, but he also is at a place where there is one team per year that you have to beat, and if you don't beat that team within your fan base, everything, you're back on the hot seat all over again. Look at Ryan Day. And yet, in the NFL, you're not out recruiting all the time. You're not having to reset your roster every 4 years. The Big Ten's about to be realigned and also is adding USC and adding UCLA and probably eventually adding Oregon and Notre Dame. Do you want to deal with all of that, or do you just want to? I do think that there is a level of comfort and continuity in the NFL, and I think Jim Irsay is going to pay $10 million a year if he can get Harbaugh. And to me, and I know that
what would that mean for Chris Ballard and or Jeff Saturday?
I think it means that the latter replaces the former, unless Jim Harbaugh wants total control and autonomy. Jim Irsay does seem to be a guy that thinks that a coach and a general manager can coexist even when the rest of the world sees that they're not coexisting.
I was going to say, too many cooks in the kitchen there?
That's
with Harbaugh on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to argue.
And does Jeff Saturday want to be a general manager?
I think Jeff Saturday would like to be involved in some way.
That's a lot different than what he's doing right now.
I don't know that Chris Ballard is as definitively gone as people assume.
No, I haven't said that. No,
I don't mean you. I just mean, there have been many times where I feel like he's. Okay, here's the easier way to say it. And folks, if you disagree with me, let me know. You can text me. I haven't given my number out in a while. 523-9288 is my cell phone number. It's a 317 area code. 523-9288 is my cell number. If nothing else, just send me a message that you're actually listening to the program, which we appreciate. But I feel like the narrative has changed on Chris Ballard, and I want people to tell me if this is if I am inaccurately portraying the majority of Colts fans. But I feel like the sentiment about Chris Ballard from Colts fans is that they would like to see him do well, and at a time felt very confident about his leadership and football acumen. But now the indifference about him has increased, and it is a combination 70% because the team looks to be in disarray and 30% because of the way Chris Ballard has handled himself. And therefore people are like, yeah, whatever. I mean, if they keep him, great. if they move on from him, I'm not going to cry any tears because he hasn't given me any reason to fall in love with him.
Yeah, I think the new boyfriend appeal is kind of worn off.
Right. I mean,
gotten off to great starts in games, but boy, have they been thoroughly outplayed.
33-0.
And even if you take out last night's fourth quarter, think about it, Jake. Philly outplayed in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh outplayed in the fourth quarter.
33-0.
In one quarter of football. And like Cooper Rush played the final 5 minutes.
I mean, yeah, Cooper Rush did play. Here's the beauty of this is the most beautiful thing ever in terms of symbolic of the Colts season. Down 35 at the end of the game, they took the victory formation to run the clock out.
Why was Ryan still in the game? I mean, he's getting battered and like.
They took the victory.
Go
formation.
out, Chase McLaughlin. That was the snap under center.
The only play that wasn't a guaranteed risk of turnover was the victory formation.
I was so tuned out at that point. Zach Moss ran for 9 and 7 yards after the 2-minute warning. By the way, Zach Moss, he might get a game ball for that. Matt Ryan kneels for a 2-yard loss to end the game.
The victory formation. Just go ahead, throw in the towel. Everybody, actually, last night, Shannon during the game goes, why are they all wearing those towels on their hip? And I should have said, so that in the fourth quarter, they can turn around and grab them and wave them.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that the truth?
Just wave the white towel. We're done. We're going to take the victory formation.
Time for a morning. You think they're the first team ever to take the victory formation down 35 points?
A 5-touchdown victory formation. Run out that clock, baby.
Morning checkdown time.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Ball State Basketball. Get your tickets at ballstatesports.com on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Another symbolic thing last night was after the game when Jim Irsay came out, and usually it's Wish TV 8 that spies him and gets comment from him, and he gets on his golf cart. And yesterday, Jim Irsay, last night after the game, got on his golf cart, and rather than making comment, the driver of the golf cart fired it up, and they drove away. But they did so in reverse.
I thought it was pretty good execution there.
It was good execution,
yeah,
but it was incredibly symbolic.
And again, that's par for the course with what Jim Irsay's done this season. Will not face the music after losses. Will happily chat after wins. I was looking forward to it late last night and thinking, okay, it's going to be like last Monday. Colts lose in the fourth quarter. I'll flip over and watch the Pacers. Last night, get ready to do that. I'm like, oh, man, the Pacers are getting worked. They lose in Portland last night. It is a 1-4 start to the 7-game road trip. And Jake, Rick Carlisle kind of warned us about this, but then you couple that and no Tyrese Halliburton and no TJ McConnell last night. Oh, boy. I don't care if the Trailblazers are on a back-to-back. It was Andrew Nembhard or James Johnson bringing up the ball.
Yeah, so 2 left on the road trip, then back here to play Washington, right? For the blue and gold.
Warriors tonight, they're favored by 9.5. Timberwolves on Wednesday. The Pacers now 12-11 on the year. We haven't talked.
Is a timber wolf different than a regular wolf? Or is it just a wolf that lives in the timber?
Boy, that's... I hate to say it's a decent question, but
it is, isn't it?
Probably the latter. Jake, did you watch any of the football for the Americans on Saturday morning? We haven't chatted about that yet.
I did. Obviously, the Dutch scoring a goal early, like 13th, 16th minute, something like that, got down 1-0.
Pulisic had a chance early.
Boy, the U.S. kind of closed it there for a split second.
Yeah, it was 2-1, like in the 70-something.
Boom, right back again, 3-1.
So that will be in the World Cup now. You have Netherlands versus Argentina, England versus France. Those are a couple of quarterfinals. Still got Japan, Croatia, Brazil, South Korea, Morocco, Spain, Portugal, Switzerland.
Is Senegal still in?
Senegal lost, I think, unfortunately, pretty handily.
I'm now all in England. On Morocco.
Morocco and Spain. I believe that's tomorrow.
Now, which one is Princess Stephanie Morocco or Monaco? I think she's Morocco, right?
Boy, that's a
I can only Google so many things at one time.
Well, let me tell you something. In the late 80s, Princess Stephanie.
That's tomorrow.
I don't know about now, but
10
back in
a.m.
the day, she was the Gabriella Sabatini of princesses. Yes. Guys my age know what I'm talking about. No one else does.
Sam Fritz and I right over our heads.
I just found out the Timberwolf fact.
Oh,
okay.
Timberwolves are a distinct subspecies of wolf.
Heck yeah. That's right. I don't know that I'd ever want to be listed as a subspecies. Like, am I the subspecies of radio hosts?
What quartile would that fall in?
That's in the middle quartile of lower quartiles of radio hosts.
Big Ten basketball play is underway for Indiana. Not a good start. They lose in Piscataway 63-48. Steve Peichel and Rutgers have won 6 straight over Indiana. Xavier Johnson, 2 of 11, 6 turnovers. No Jalen Hood-Schifino, so that put even more ball handling duties on Xavier Johnson's plate. Exposed there, and basically, Jake, they threw a ton of bodies at Trace Jackson Davis. Miller Kopp hit open shots, and no one else did. 1 of 16 from behind the arc as Indiana has their first loss of the season.
Yeah, and teams are going to do this. That's the blueprint. Not saying that it's going to be easy for them to do. Indiana's not going to shoot that poorly all the time, although it's going to happen because they don't have reliable, consistent outside shooters. And Trace Jackson Davis is not going to get shut down to that level all the time, although it's going to happen. And when it does, Race Thompson's the other one that's got to do something because Race Thompson.
Yeah, he really struggled.
I mean, scoreless. Come on, man. Come on. Did we already mention Purdue?
No, I was going to mention Purdue next. Zach Edey.
Purdue, Zach Edey, 33 points, 21 boards. The Boilers 1-0 in the Big Ten, easily winning over Minnesota, who falls to 4-4.
But Fletcher Lawyer, 20 points, 8 assists, no turnovers for the Fort Wayne product. No Mason Gillis, back injury, sidelined him. So both Purdue and Indiana will play Nebraska coming up this week for their second Big Ten game before Big Ten break the rest of December. Looking back on yesterday, the college football playoff, it was announced it will be number 1, Georgia, number 4, Ohio State, number 2, Michigan, number 3, TCU. Jake, your thoughts on that Final Four?
My only thing is, and there's a bias here probably because I do not at all like Ohio State, although I do think that they are one of the 4 best teams in the country. I do. So I understand it. And I know that it's a moot point because they're going to expand the playoff situation. But if you have a regular season that is such that you win yourself the opportunity to win a conference championship and you are bonused a 13th game, theoretically what happens to you in that 13th game should not penalize you to the point of somebody who did not earn that in their conference and is sitting on the side of the road idle, passing you by. And that's what happened with USC. And I get it. I mean, USC was beaten pretty handily by Utah, but their star quarterback was hurt early in that game. Theoretically, USC only lost to one team all year. Granted, they lost to them twice. But I do think that, and I get it. I mean, Ohio State is realistically probably one of the 4 best teams. If Ohio, mark my words, I've never been more sure about this than the fact that my name is Jake Query, and yes, the person that just texted me, thank you for listening to the show. It is my cell phone number. I'm telling you right now, if Ohio State and Michigan, as the stars align, if they face each other in the national championship game, if Ohio State's able to get past Georgia, Ohio State will blow Michigan off the field. They'll beat them by minimum 17 points. C.J. Stroud will throw for 450 yards. Ohio State will absolutely blast Michigan, partially because Michigan planted their flag in the middle of the field, and it's too soon. It's too soon. And I said at the beginning of the year, no one's going to touch Ohio State, and they're going to win the national championship because they have 4 receivers that are all going to be playing on Sundays someday. And, yes, they got beat by Michigan, but I'm telling you right now, they would have a chance to right that ship, and Ohio State would be your national champion.
A planting of the flag is going to change a game that was just 3 scores the other way.
Yes,
last week.
Yes, because Ohio State they just had I really do think, Kevin, sometimes you just have that, man. You just have days where things don't go your way, and Michigan was dynamic as hell in that game. Don't get me wrong, but Michigan threw everything with the kitchen sink, and Ohio State has too much talent to get beat by 22 again, number one. But number two, you can bet that video of those Michigan players coming out there, I got no problem with it. I loved it personally. But that video of them doing that will be played every single hour of every day if Ohio State gets past Georgia in the weeks or in the week in between the two games. And if they play Michigan in the national title game, mark my words, take the over, take the spread, take Marvin Harrison Jr. to score 2 touchdowns, take C.J. Stroud in the passing over. Ohio State would absolutely blow Michigan out of the stadium.
I feel like you're doubling down on your Ohio State.
And then Jim Harbaugh, very shortly thereafter, will be named as the new Colts coach. If that all comes true, at 9:31 and 46 seconds here on Monday, the 5th of December, we will air that forever.
I believe at the start of the year, you told us Ohio State would win every game by 21 points.
I did say that, I believe. I did. And if they beat Michigan by 43 in the national championship game, that overcomes the other way. And I'm still correct.
Take your calls through 723-9-1070. Kevin and Query here on a definitely not a Victory Monday.
Guys, solve your ED today with an intimacy guarantee only at the Indianapolis Men's Clinic. If you don't perform, you don't pay. Call the Indianapolis Men's Clinic at 999-9000. 999-9000.
My partners had told me I should get my knee replaced. I was in my 40s, and I decided that I wouldn't do that.
That's orthopedic surgeon Dr. John Herzog, who found regenerative medicine years ago and became a believer.
It changed my life around. It improved me to a point where I was able to jog again.
That's when Dr. Herzog switched his focus from surgery to helping his patients with natural biologics.
I've treated at least 5,000 patients. I believe your body has everything it needs to heal itself.
Today, you'll find Dr. Herzog at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in this exciting field of medicine that can give lasting pain relief with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery.
I have patients coming up to me that I did 10 years ago saying, Doc, my elbow's still working great. I'm playing tennis 3 days a week.
Call QC Kinetics now to explore alternative ways to deal with your pain. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
Hey there, it's Jake Quarry for the Good Feet Store of Indiana. Good Feet Store has 2 locations, one down in Greenwood and then, of course, at 82nd and Dean up in the Clearwater areas. And I love the premier arch support specialist that is the Good Feet Store of Indiana. Jake, what exactly are you talking about? Well, I'll tell you. I have had plantar fasciitis for years, and I've battled with foot pain, and then I found out about the Good Feet Store and their arch supports, which I went in, stood basically just on a pad, and that showed them where the pressure points were on my feet and the way that my body was leaning. And then I got the arch supports, and by that I mean inserts that go inside of my shoes, interchangeably, obviously, to put that balance out my feet. So not a one-size-fits-all job, but rather to the balance of my foot that allows me to now be pain-free and back on the treadmill, running, doing the things that I love to do, all because of the free, no-obligation personalized fitting that I got at the Good Feet Store. They're committed to making you feel better. It's a lifetime warranty for the product. So literally, one time go in, it's a one-time deal, and then you are good to go with an all-American-made product. That's what you get from the Good Feet Store. Again, free fitting and test walk, no appointment needed. Just walk into the Good Feet Store, either in Greenwood or in Clearwater. You could always, of course, find them online at goodfeetindy.com.
This holiday, give the people you treasure something they'll treasure, a gift from Shane Company. Our unique jewelry makes a spectacular gift. I'm Tom Shane. One of my favorites is an elegant necklace featuring a colorful east-west gemstone with diamond accents for $250. We offer it in 4 different gemstones, so you can select a color she loves. Choose red garnet, purple amethyst, sky blue topaz, or yellow citrine. Another favorite are diamond huggy earrings for $1,145. I picked these hoops because they fit close to the ear and are great for any occasion. Select either white gold, yellow gold, or rose gold. Our link necklace at $525 is a favorite because the diamond accents give the gold a touch of sparkle. Visit us for more gifts at a great value. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
School is in session.
Seth Greenberg, where does Indiana's roster fit among the best in the country, or does it?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. You know what? Because, look, Trace Jackson-Davis is a matchup nightmare at the elbow on the baseline, on the glass. I think they got some shot makers. I like their team. They've got maturity. They got a little bit of toughness. They're guarding people. I've been really impressed with them.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The Colts, by the way, my understanding is one of the new banners that they're going to put up outside Lucas Oil Stadium in lieu of a player is just going to say, took victory formation after getting beat 33-0 in fourth quarter of primetime game, which I think is awesome.
That's rare.
It is that. It is definitely that. This is a really good text here that I wanted to read you, probably because it's from a guy named Jake, which is not me, but brilliant shares the name. Jake, my thoughts on Chris Ballard through this season. I've loved the guy since he's gotten here. He's made some great draft picks, but it seems to be that kind of a trend that the picks that we need to work out don't seem to pan out. I do think moving forward, either we need to move on from Chris Ballard and clean house except for Gus Bradley, or Ballard needs to seriously change his philosophy of free agency, because it's pretty clear that what he's been doing in free agency is not working. It seems like he's too stubborn at times with certain free agents, i.e. Chris Reed and Danico Autry. Your thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, I would say probably the two bigger issues is just a stubbornness with free agency, but probably before you even get to free agency, I'd argue a stubbornness in how you build and where your priorities should be first. That's probably where I would start. It's, again, questions that I know we've played the audio. We can go back and listen to that audio. I've asked Ballard and past season-ending pressers because the roster approach is a bit old school, and he has not taken that swing at quarterback. And then free agency, yeah, I don't get why they've continued to sit out March as much as they have. And I know I've brought this up before, but Ballard would counter to that and say, oh, well, roster building's 12 months out of the year, and you can find free agents in season, and you can do all of this. Well, where are the in-season free agents? Where's the August free agent? Where's the training camp free agent? I mean, 2 weeks ago, you watched the Eagles get run up and down the field on Monday Night Football by Washington. They're on a short week. They're playing the Colts. They decide to go out and make two very notable defensive line signings, and they come into Lucas Oil Stadium, and outside of the first series, they totally shut Jonathan Taylor down. That's an in-season signing, and I see nothing from the Colts. When you look at outside of the building moves they've made, it's got to be one of the quietest of any team in the NFL this season. And again, these are the questions, if I'm Jim Irsay, I'd be asking of my GM. It's that the stuff that you promise, the stuff that you believe in more than anything, we're not living up to those areas. So it's not even necessarily that, like, if you want to put his philosophy to the side and not argue that, just look at the stuff that he believes in and say, okay, are you checking that box? Are you checking that box? And you're not. That would be particularly concerning to me. He's hit on some draft picks without question. But when you look at this roster moving forward for the next few years, there are some very important positions on this football team you don't feel good about. And that's worrisome.
I can understand, to an extent, the hesitation in signing free agents strictly because you know how short the window is in the NFL, and so if you get somebody who already has multiple game or multiple year experience, you know with any player you're always a play away from that player not being able to contribute to you anymore. But I do understand, Kevin, why there would be hesitation of giving up clean slate guys for guys that, yes, you do have tangible evidence they can play in the league, but you also know that with certain guys, once they hit the cliff, it's over, right? I mean, the Stephon Gilmore, like the way that he's played this year, he found the fountain of youth, and the Colts have benefited from that because he's been a really good player for them. But it feels like, especially even at that position, that's one where they sat down at the roulette table and it hit. But that feels like it is more the anomaly than the norm.
Well, see, that might be my issue, though, is like there have been hits. I mean, I thought Eric Ebron was a hit, even though it was only for a year. Danico Autry, although you should have re-signed him that second time around, that was a hit. You've had some success there. It's just not realizing that of all the opportunities in the offseason to try and acquire somewhat quality, somewhat proven talent, it's the month of March. It's that second wave of free agency, and continuing to sit that out inevitably leaves holes on your roster, or inevitably creates lack of competition come training camp. And this year, for example, we saw that at left tackle with Matt Pryor having that job handed to him, or at right guard with Danny Pinter having that job handed to him. I think that's where I think some of my issues lie with Ballard. I know Adam wanted to talk a little Chris Ballard. Let's get to Adam right now. What's up, Adam?
Hey, guys. Adam, longtime Colts fan, basically since I was third grade in the early 90s, watched all the Payton years. I just wanted to talk about Ballard generally. I know there's a big split in the fan base. Some people think he's a great GM because of certain draft picks he made. I have really soured on him as a GM. I thought he should have been fired last year after Jacksonville with Frank. Thought the team quit. But also just largely the way the team's constructed and the overall performance, we're in the worst division in football. We're in a division with the Houston Texans, who are the worst team in football, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have consistently been one of the worst teams in football the last few years. The only real competition is the Titans, who have taken a step back. In his entire time as GM, we've never won a division title. We now have a losing record in his tenure. We've had no home playoff games. We won one playoff game on the road against Houston, in Houston with Andrew Luck, then lost to the Chiefs in KC, lost in Buffalo in our only other playoff appearance. It just, like, people say he's a good GM, and I know we can point to different picks he's made, but if you look at the core four positions in modern NFL football, the only two picks he's had at quarterback have been Jacob Eason, who's now out of the league, Sam Ehlinger, who can't even be a third guy on your roster right now under Jeff Saturday if you're trying to win. At defensive end, we all know how many swings and misses he took in the second round before he maybe found one in Kwity Paye, but also he compounded that failure by picking Deo in the second, who doesn't look like worth a second-round pick right now. And then if you look at left tackle, he knew Costanzo was retiring for 2 years, and then didn't take a left tackle until this year. He takes Bernard Raymond, who's a third-round pick who transitioned from tight end to left tackle in the COVID year, and takes no other swings at left tackle. And I think everyone here has been through the ringer of talking about his not willing to invest in wide receiver. I do think that group has actually performed particularly well. I would bring back Paris on a contract, and I think we do sign MPJ long-term, but I just don't see how we, given the performance, either
MPJ, you mean Michael Pittman Jr., correct?
Yes, I think Michael Pittman Jr., I think we will sign him. I don't know if he's a one, but I also don't think you let your talented skill position players leave in this NFL. Look at Tennessee. But I think the point is, why would we trust him to pick the quarterback or fix this team when he's broken it so badly? I mean, as you just pointed out, he went with Matt Pryor as the left tackle to start the season. That alone is a fireable offense for a GM. I mean, you started a sixth-round journeyman you picked up off a practice squad from Philly, who was a right tackle who gave you 5 games last year where he looked okay, and you said, this guy is the starter with no competition. You chose Eric Fisher over Charles Leno, who looks great right now for Washington and was good last year in Chicago. I mean, it's just like, I don't understand how he gets by for building the most expensive offensive line in the league, which is also the worst. So can you sell me on what is the argument for keeping Chris Ballard?
I mean, obviously I'm with you on that, Adam, on the rhetorical. In terms of the quarterback, I'm going to say what I've said all along.
Adam had his info there.
It was a great call, Adam. In terms of the quarterback, I'm going to say what I've said all along. Chris Ballard hasn't drafted a quarterback because he's a smart dude, and he knows that when you draft a quarterback, your clock begins. And you are, at any other position, you can draft defensive ends that don't work out. You get another chance to draft a defensive end. You can draft a wide receiver that doesn't work out, and you'll get a chance to draft another wide receiver. You draft a quarterback as your franchise quarterback that doesn't work out, you are attached at the hip of that guy, and you are probably gone. And Chris Ballard, give him credit, has been smart enough to play everybody else for a fool and just avoid that topic and just buy himself 2 more years. 2 more years. 2 more years. It's smart. But the clock begins now because they have exhausted because people are onto it. People are onto the rental quarterback game, and they're going to have to draft one, and when they do, the clock begins.
To Adam's point, and again, I'll just play devil's advocate here because he did ask the question, sell me on Ballard drafting the QB. Jake, to me, that decision is so different from any decision that an NFL GM makes, especially Chris Ballard here in the last 6 years of his era, that I don't think anyone knows how that will go. Because you've missed on, and again, Jacob Eason is a 4th rounder, Sam Ehlinger is a 6th rounder. Those don't even count for me. Drafting a quarterback is so different. The development of that quarterback, making sure your coaching staff aligns with that's such an outlier from anything that you have done so far as a roster constructor that would be, I guess, part of the devil's advocate of, because you've missed elsewhere, does that mean you're going to miss necessarily a quarterback? I don't think that's like apples to apples. Even the veteran quarterback route, even signing up with, hey, we're going to do Matt Ryan, we're going to do Carson Wentz, like those things, signing off on those things, I should say. I don't think that necessarily means that, oh yeah, he's going to screw up quarterback. Again, I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate, but I also think that it's not exactly apples to apples.
Hey, Jake, good morning. This is Daniel from Dallas. Whatever happened to Jeff Saturday coming on Mondays? Is being a head coach too big to talk on local radio? I think that last part's kind of facetious. A little busy, I would assume, right? So that was in partnership with the ESPN affiliation with the radio station here, and certainly very shortly after Jeff Saturday became the interim head coach of the Colts, very, very professionally and on very good terms, his representatives were like, hey, unfortunately, just because of the schedule demands now, he's not going to be able to continue those calls. Totally understandable.
Love to have him on before the year's over, though.
Absolutely. We'll welcome on anytime, right?
We'll see if we can make that happen. All right, we'll do it one final time. Kevin and Query on a Monday.
Hey, Alexa, you want to go out with me?
Fat chance. Dog breath.
Okay, I was just asking.
If you want to do the smart thing, say, Alexa, play 107.5 The Fan.
Now that's smart.
Hey, it's Mark from Kevin and Query, and one of the things I love about betting on the NFL is I'm always finding new player or game props that I like. That's what's cool about FanDuel Sportsbook. You can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's called the Same Game Parlay, and it's perfect for tonight's Monday night matchup between the Saints and the Bucks. Give me the Bucks on the money line. Chris Godwin is an anytime touchdown scorer, and Alvin Kamara over in rushing yards. There's no feeling like nailing a Same Game Parlay bet, so lock in your bet today on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up today with promo code MARK for your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C, while you're there. Check out the everyday odds, boosts, and specials. The app is safe, secure, and easy to use. And when you win, you get paid fast. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in Indiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
Craftsman Days at Lowe's are going on now. Get limited time savings across the store like $100 off a V20 6-tool combo kit. Plus, enter the Craftsman Days Ultimate Garage Sweepstakes for a chance to win Craftsman products valued at over $10,000. Learn more at Lowe's.com/Ultimate Garage. Offer valid through 12/31 while supplies last. No purchase necessary. Ends 12/31. Residents of 50 USDC, 18 or older in age or majority and have a Lowe's.com account. Void where prohibited. See rules at Lowe's.com/Ultimate Garage for entry instructions, odd prices, etc. Sponsor Lowe's.
The construction industry in Indiana has depended on Quality Supply and Tool, a local family-owned business, to deliver quality sales and service over the last 25 years. The employees make the difference, like sales expert Nick Worley.
What sets us apart is we only offer quality tools and supplies from quality manufacturers. We have a quality trained sales and service staff knowledgeable of the products we sell and offer. Quality. It's in our name.
On South Harding Street in Indy, plus Bloomington and Jeffersonville, Quality Supply and Tool thinks outside the box. Store.
Christmas cheer is in short supply for our neighbors who are hungry, homeless, hurting. Today you can give them meals, shelter, and care with a gift to Wheeler Mission. You'll also provide addiction recovery, life skills, job training, and other vital care that transforms lives. Your gift is needed right now as hundreds of hurting people are turning to Wheeler Mission for help every day. Share Christmas cheer. Donate now at wheelermission.org. That's wheelermission.org.
He's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Kirby Heating and Air Conditioning. The Kirbys have been in business for nearly 4 decades, and son Robert says his parents' business practices won't ever change.
I love the way that they've ran the business, treat the customer right. Word of mouth is our biggest advertisement, so you treat people right and they're going to recommend you 10 times more, so it's been great.
Call Jessica, Lloyd, Robert, and Adam at Kirby Heating and Air Conditioning at 317-892-3614. Kirby is your trusted local independent American Standard dealer.
Don't sweat those extra guests. Get a Twin Peaks Party Pack. They're family-sized meals, complete with an entree, choice of side, house salad, and buttered rolls for 4. It's the perfect way to enjoy Twin Peaks from home. Order online for pickup or get it delivered straight to you. And skip the drama and get the perfect gift for everyone on your list. A gift card to Twin Peaks. You don't even have to leave your couch. Just head over to bit.ly/Twin Peaks gift to grab as many as you need and send them right to your fam's inboxes. Happy shopping.
Start a new career with a job that keeps your community safe. The Marion County Sheriff, Carrie Forrestal, is hiring detention deputies to work in the brand new Community Justice Center. You'll supervise and guard offenders, making Marion County a better place to live. Starting pay begins at around $40,000 a year with a $5,000 signing bonus. Enjoy great benefits like complete health coverage and pension plan. Start your career as a detention deputy and earn the respect of your community. Apply today at joinmcso.indy.gov.
Celebrate the Colts bye week with an NFL doubleheader. Sunday at noon on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You are listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Jake, Purdue fans a little restless this morning. Scott Satterfield, Louisville head coach, off to Cincinnati, so he takes the Luke Fickell job there. We know it's been very public, to be honest. Louisville's interest in Jeff Brohm, vice versa. Jeff Brohm has rich history in Louisville, played there, went to Trinity High School, siblings and family members who went to Louisville, et cetera, et cetera. You would have to think that his name would be someone that Louisville would covet. And with how their basketball program's going, maybe they might say, hey, we're all in on football.
Kevin, Jeff Brohm, to your point, who is Louisville through and through.
Like a little Damon Bailey to him in Louisville, I feel.
Correct. And when the last time, actually I guess it would have been 2 jobs ago, when Louisville had a job opening and Brohm was linked to that, and of course he stayed at Purdue. It was, I believe, this time a year ago. Maybe it was at the beginning of the season, but he was, I remember tweeting this out. He was at like a booster function or it wouldn't have been a U of L booster event because he was the head coach at Purdue, but he was at an event in Louisville, in the city of Louisville, and was asked about the Louisville football coaching position. and whether or not it was something that he had interest in. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, that certainly is a job that I know my name was linked to it, or I know people speculated, but the timing was not right. But you never say never. And I remember at that time thinking, like, okay, I mean, the next time there's an opportunity. Purdue is coming off of an appearance in the Big Ten championship game on the cusp of a realignment that seemingly is going to make it even more difficult to get back to that point. I'm not saying there's a glass ceiling at Purdue, but if there is, he's probably gotten about as high up on it as you, or as close to it as you could. I would be stunned, quite frankly. I would be stunned if Louisville does not make a very serious push at Jeff Brohm, and I would be more stunned if that takes place if Jeff Brohm did not reciprocate the interest.
It's going to be a pretty healthy buyout, right?
Yeah, but I think Louisville's pretty serious about...
In football?
Yeah, I do. Especially with some of the struggles. I mean, Louisville athletically is pretty committed. I mean, that's a pretty committed athletic program, and they got good facilities. And I don't know if they still got Papa John's money running around, but I would be surprised. I like Jeff Brohm. I like Purdue. I like Mike Babinski a great deal, the athletic director at Purdue. So we'll see what happens.
Purdue extended Brohm back in April for 2 more seasons through 2027 there. So a lot of time still left on that contract in West Lafayette. All right, everybody have a great start to your week. We'll recap Pacers and Warriors tomorrow and get you set up for the Colts bye week. Kevin Moe and Jake Query, Sam Fritz. See you.
School is in session.
Seth Greenberg, where does Indiana's roster